Hey everybody, and welcome back. We are back from a little break and kicking right back into our next few upcoming episodes of A Candle or the Night. Tonight we have episode number 27. We actually have recorded a series of episodes during our little break, and I will get them edited and up just as quickly as I can. By the way, if anyone out there loves editing and wants to help out with the show, shoot me an email at feedback@candleorthenight.com. Also, our podcast has a Patreon. If you enjoy the show and like what we're doing, consider helping us out on Patreon and supporting the production. If you're interested, visit patreon.com/COTN_show. That's COTN_show. Some of the ideas we have for Patreon rewards include one level, of course, early access to the episodes, and at some of the higher levels, perhaps the opportunity to guest appear on an episode and see some behind-the-scenes Patreon-only posts, as well as fan recognitions and shout-outs on the episode, etc. So check it out. We are picking up tonight with a little bit of a different pace. I started the episode doing a little side moment with Leto. We started our episode with that tonight, so you'll see us jump right in to this moment with Leto, exploring a little bit of his backstory. And once he separates from the group to take care of that, he then reintegrates with the group, and we pick up with our standard sort of opening, including the recap and such. That about wraps it up for my announcements, and why don't we jump right into the episode? Okay, so L3, the last we left the rest of the group, we were in the Errant Seeker, in the sort of lounge area, and we had found the computer area near the cockpit, covered in blood. Well, the keyboard had some blood on it. Let's not be overdramatic here. But there was some blood on the keyboard. Viktor was missing, and you were trying to forensically reconstruct the scene. And
failed miserably.
And failed. However, it failed in a spectacularly entertaining way to see, because there was holographic projections, and I keep envisioning that scene in Iron Man 3 when he sort of recreates the bomb scene. It was kind of like that. So anyway, they're so caught up in discussing amongst themselves, and where is Viktor? What's going on? And as that's going on around them, you get. As this is going on, you suddenly feel something in the back of your consciousness, and it's like a deep, thrumming, underlying tone that kind of distracts you from everything else that you can pay attention to. And you don't feel like you've ever experienced this before, but yet somehow it seems familiar. And you kind of go into a mode in which you feel like if you were an organic being, I would say your lizard brain is kicking in. You just sort of are going into sort of an autopilot mode where this tone deep in your consciousness is sort of buzzing over and over and over again. And you become aware that some sort of very basal protocol has been triggered inside of you. You do have the option to try and resist it if you would like. I assume that you are not.
No. L3 is still fresh enough to the group, and given the circumstances, he doesn't feel like he can basically add any more to what he's already done to find Victor. And this is another element to piece together his past. So he definitely wants to research this quite a bit and follow it to see what answers he can get.
And as you kind of let go a little bit, you feel yourself kind of acting not in a way that you can't control, but perhaps to an organic it would be like as if they're sleepwalking. They're kind of aware that they're moving and doing things, but they're not actively, consciously controlling it. And this sort of warning tone that's going inside of you, you're beginning to kind of feel like you have a familiarity with this. And the message in your mind that keeps playing back is that it is time to evacuate valuable assets. And you begin to move and you slip out of the ship. Stealth is a gift of yours, and when you choose to move without being seen, it isn't hard for you. So while the others are arguing and discussing what happened to Viktor, you manage to slip out of the ship and begin moving through Nar Shadaa, and you're walking with purpose. And some part of you is amused by this in a way that you kind of know where to go without actively remembering having ever been here. And as you walk through the areas of the Glitzway Promenade that you have already seen, these sort of up in the tops of the skyscrapers near the atmosphere, sort of the wealthy part of town, you instinctually move with purpose. And you see in this side of your holographic projection of your vision and imagery that there is a map with a line being drawn through it, and you're planning your route. And as you move through the back of the alleys near the arena, Squidge Arena, you find a entrance to the sewers, which you quickly open and descend down into. And as you continue moving down, you navigate through a series of tunnels and passageways that lead to sort of some lesser used elevator shafts. And within about an hour of purposeful walking, you're passing people without thinking much. You're not interacting with anyone. You continue to hear that repeat buzzing tone in your mind more and more loudly. And the pinging of it kind of gets louder the closer that you move. As you descend past the upper levels of society, you move down quickly through an area that is known as the Corellian sector, which is sort of one significant level down beneath the upper level of society on Nar Shadaa. So you're already, even though it was daytime above, you already appear to be walking through terrain that is night. It would almost look like a city at night. It's just that you can't kind of see light anymore. And there's a lot of cantinas and bars and people moving around. And you continue to move with purpose through every dark alley, opening vents and grates, sliding yourself down, and you just continually are moving deeper and deeper into the substructure of Nar Shadaa. Within about a half hour, you are now in another level deeper on the planetary structure, which is known as the Red Light District. If your conscious mind were paying attention, you would feel perhaps that this area might be slightly dangerous. I'm going to give you some artwork to kind of paint the picture of what you're seeing here.
I can. Heartache Bistro?
Yep, Heartache Bistro. There's a cantina, a little guarded door off to the side called Better Bodies. But this is a dark, far, far, far subterranean level of Nar Shadaa. Pretty rife with rough sorts, criminals, bounty hunters. The average population doesn't come down this way. If you can't carry yourself well here, you get knifed and found in a gutter somewhere.
Why are you reading the Cone of Silence?
Even your well-laid precautions, Albie.
Yes. Guys, I'm doing a private scene with L3. You can listen, just don't interact is all. So as you're moving down through the red light district, even though some of this on some conscious level interests you slightly, you can't help but just be pulled back to your purpose. And your purpose is to find your mark and assist them in evacuation. And as you get closer, your sense of urgency also increases. And as people move by you, you see a kind of people looking at you as you walk by. It's a little bit unusual to see a lone droid of your design moving through this part of town. And as you're kind of making your way through down a dark alley, you kind of get nudged in the shoulder by these two guys. One is a Clatonian, and the other is a Hook. They're basically large alien races common to Hutt space, and they have kind of like a lot of body piercing, nose piercing. They're dressed in leathers and boots, torn pants and things. And one of them kind of comes up to you and blocks your path and says, "Where are you going so fast, friend?"
Do I know any of the gangs in this area? Any important, muscle that I could draw upon as a knowledge to maybe deceive my way out of the situation? I would probably, L3 would probably be merely running an errand for the Black Sun.
Yeah, make a hard knowledge underworld check.
I don't have any training in Underworld, so do I not even get that?
Okay, you could also do Outer Rim.
I guess I don't have... I have Warfare, Xenealogy, Education, and Core World.
You could fake it with Education, probably.
Hard Education?
You could do a hard Education check.
And this is just to get the knowledge to draw from to deceive.
Correct. You're looking for something you might know. Okay, so you actually rolled 4 successes and 2 threat. So given that you're using knowledge education, what you're able to figure out just by your observations walking through the area is this seems to be a neighborhood where a lot of illicit crime and bounty hunters hang out. In particular, near here, you notice that Better Bodies place. And you've heard stories about botched surgeries that go on down here, just from your sort of knowledge of physiology and medicine. You've read news reports of people who come down here for body enhancement, cybernetic changes, changing their eyes, their facial structure, evading detection by the law by getting a different look, and how you've heard about a lot of people kind of having botched surgeries down here and paying a lot of money and coming back like dead or disfigured. And so you kind of figure that you might be able to kind of run a line or convince them that you're somehow involved in that operation.
I am seeking new test subjects for our implants. Would you like to insert yourself into such experimentation? And I would have my photoreceptor turn a little red, and the rapier slowly extend.
The Hook looks at you and says, "What are you talking about? Nothing wrong with his face." And he smiles like this nasty, toothy, rotted grin that's just positively rank. And his friend comes around and says, "You got anything of value then, if you're delivering stuff? If you're looking for subjects, you gotta probably have something on you worthwhile." And he starts kind of touching the side of your chassis and looking for compartments and stuff. And I've heard that these droid things, they've got secret compartments in places. And he starts pulling on your leg a little bit and trying to see. It's almost as if he doesn't respect you as a living being. You're just sort of an object that he can sort of pick clean.
I see. You would be perfect for the experimentations that we're upholding. I will now inform the collectors. One moment. And I will pretend to, be sending out a signal by, extending an antenna from my head. As if calling for, backup or something.
Roll an average deception check. All right, so you rolled 2 success and 3 threat. So you succeed in kind of getting their attention, and the Clantunian says to you, what do you mean collectors? What the hell are you talking about collectors?
Ah, yes. My job is to specify which subjects to collect. The collectors are the ones that capture and bring back to our...
And he looks at it. He looks at the Hook and says, we shouldn't stick around here, man, if he's got people coming. And they look at you really quickly, and due to the 3 threat that you rolled, the Hook pulls out kind of a truncheon that he has around his side, and he says, let's just roll him and see what he has. And the other guy goes, no, man, no, I'm out of here, and he runs. And the Hook turns and watches him go for a second. And then he looks back at you and says, screw it, I'll do it myself. And he goes to take a roll at you. He pulls back the truncheon and swings it. So he takes a swing at you with this truncheon, and he misses, but he rolls 5 advantage.
Jeez.
That's interesting, actually. And the truncheon's like a pretty decent damage weapon, so he pulls it and he swings it. You totally see this coming, so you kind of swing your chassis kind of turns more than a human body could, and it kind of rotates so that his swing moves completely past you, and he stumbles kind of over your leg, but he swings back around and sweeps his foot around and kind of dislodges the foot that you were putting your weight on, and you kind of fall down for a second, and you are prone as he's standing above you, and it is your turn.
Okay. I would like to activate my jump up ability, which I have my character sheet open. I will tell you once. Jump up. Once per round, may stand from a seated or prone as an incident.
All right, so like a ninja, you quickly zip your leg up under and propel yourself back up, and you flip back onto your feet, and he looks at you a little bit nervous. You don't look like a science droid.
Perhaps that's not in your favor. And the full rapier will extend from my arm, and the light of my photoreceptor will turn from blue to red, and I will go in for a swift attack. I'm not looking to kill this guy, but I am looking to chase him away rather fast. I have an important mission, and I don't have time to waste him.
Actually, when he sees that, he's going to have to make a fear check. When he sees that rapier comes out and the light turn red, give me 1 second. His cool is... Alright, so he fails with 4 threat. So basically, he is so panicked by... He's, what the hell are you? And he kind of stumbles backward, kind of falls back on his butt and starts crab walking backwards a little bit, trying to get away from you. And he is going to have a persistent setback dice to all of his checks for the rest of the encounter. So you can finish your turn now. You have an action still.
L3 hasn't fallen into the whole path of an assassination droid, so he'd be... It's a pity. You would have made a wonderful experiment. However, without the pair, it's not worth my effort. Good day. And he would actually use his full movement to move out of range of this guy, because right now his full focus is on that signal, and he doesn't want anything distracting him from.
So as you move away from the thug, he actually is still sitting back on his butt and haunches, kind of watching you run. And he thinks like he might get up for a second, but he kind of just is like, no, I am not chasing this guy. And he lets you kind of run off. And you manage to get away unmolested. So at this point, you continue your purposeful movement downward. And you enter... another shaft, which actually puts you in a free slide down a long channel that seems to be some sort of service pipe. And you're sliding so fast down the pipe that sparks are kind of flying off of your sort of, metal-like chassis as it's grating against the pipes. It's not hurting you in any way, but it's sending like this spark shower, and you have this like stream going down as you go down this pipe. And you see if before you... your destination is a vent that actually you're able to divert yourself towards the right and downward, and you slide down like a water slide right through the outside of the vent, and you fall about 5 to 6 feet to a surface that is about a foot in water. Like a sewer, but not filthy. This is just a watery kind of some sort of drainage system that attaches to a large factory-like network down here. And you kind of see a label on one of the sector markings that you are in the steamworks. You really are not terribly familiar with it, other than it seems to be some sort of the machinery that generates power and functioning for the levels above. And it seems to be in significant disrepair. There's a lot of damaged struts and sort of gear and factory-like apparatuses that part of them are just not working or broken. You do hear various noises of living things moving about down here, humanoids that are kind of keeping to the shadows and stuff. This is definitely an area that people don't normally come. But you manage to move to the appointed destination. And as you get there, you push a gate open, which creaks slightly, like, and you walk in to this area and close the gate behind you, and you realize this is the place. And you're standing for a moment surveying, and you're looking for the mark. It now becomes clear to you that this protocol is a protocol used to denote that your assigned protection target is ready for extraction. And before you can think more about that, you see some kind of humanoid alien moving out of the shadows. And he's gone to great lengths to conceal himself. He's in multi-layer wrapped clothing, boots with like pants, and then wrapping of cloth around the legs and body to try and hide his body shape a little bit. He has a dark green cloak that is in very good condition for, he doesn't look like he belongs down here, in other words. His face is covered by a helmet, but a very tight-fitting helmet that is attached to a respirator. And his voice is kind of mutated through a vocoder, so it's hard to identify. And he has 2 ocular sensors on the helmet that are lit a very dull and non-threatening kind of gold color. And the alien walks out slowly, lowering his head slightly and regarding you. And he steps up when he sees you in your full body form. And he seems to be pleased as he puts his hands in front of him and clasps them and tilts his head in almost maybe slightly appreciative or affectionate way. And he introduces himself. Welcome. I am Sub-Rosso.
My designation is L3T0. How may I assist, and why have you summoned me?
Oh, I know your designation. I helped to build you.
Explain.
And he walks around you for a moment, not answering, and he's carefully surveying your body, looking for certain markings. He kneels down to the floor for a moment and examines sort of your pelvic joints and hips, knees. He traces his finger along your leg for a moment, and he identifies some of the sort of painted symbols and markings that are industrially placed on your chassis, and he nods, and then he stands up for a moment, and he says, L3T0, you are a masterpiece of mine. You must forgive me. I must conceal my identity. I was once a Republic intelligence technician, and I worked on your development project, which we knew as Conservator. You are Conservator XR2, the second after a successful prototype. I would love to tell you more about me, but you must understand I cannot. I have fled the chaotic political situation and managed to start a new life here on Nar Shadaa. I must conceal my identity because I have worked hard to create a reputation with a Major Kajidic here. And if I was discovered to be conspiring with anything tied to the Republic or the Empire, I would probably be killed.
L3 is basically, with a passive blue light of his, analyst mode. He's examining every facet of this person's image, even like the mask, the photos, and anything and every bit of data he can gain, and he's just like absorbing it. And then when Rosso finally finishes talking, L3 will be, if what you say is true, I have many questions. I am not complete.
Not complete? Not complete. Tell me more what you mean by that.
I would have out of character, I would have an inherent trust for this individual, especially since he activated that proto.
So he looks at you and says, Conservator XR2, you are more than complete. You are more perfect than any droid our laboratory ever created. Don't you understand what you are?
I do not. My memory core was damaged over the course of decades. I have no track of time from before being reactivated by the Alliance.
He looks genuinely distressed by that and puts a hand kind of to the side of your head for a second, almost as if he was like comforting a family member, and he says, you realize your units were the height of engineering technology at the time. We loaded you with databases on Republic worlds, geographies, and indigenous peoples, cultures, languages, customs. Your purpose was to create a deep deployment Jedi adjunct to assist with high-risk diplomacy operations. You were able to provide real-time informational support to the Jedi consulars that were assigned with you to ensure their diplomatic success. Of course, we also outfitted you with highly concealed lethal combat protocols to safely extract your assigned consulars should diplomacy fail. And then he kind of nods to you, which it often does, yes?
I found those protocols most advantageous in the recent months.
Is the blade still working?
He will extend his arm far out in a non-threatening manner and extend it to its full length.
Yes, what a beautiful creation. Oh. The engineering concept was to make the weaponized aspects of your design totally concealed so the units would not look threatening during diplomatic activities. Unfortunately, your program was terminated early. The outbreak of the Separatist crisis stalled the project after your prototype was built. You were the second. There was one before, one that had some issues. But when we created you, we got it right. And we would have made many of you, but Senator Palpatine made a motion to cut all funding when the Clone Wars began in favor of, well, what we later discovered was his clone army. They were barely able to build you before the plug was pulled in the project. I recall myself scrambling to connect your power core leads as the Senatorial Guard came to close the facility. And then he stops himself for a second, as if he's like chiding himself for going down memory lane for a second. And he gets very serious and stands up straight. And he looks straight into your central ocular sensor. And he says in very slow, clear words, "Avow, Alpha, Tango, 3, 9. And suddenly, you feel another protocol activating in you, L3. And again, you are permitted to try and resist it, but it is a debrief protocol. Which even your damaged memory core would understand this would be common use after any mission when you were being debriefed to give information to your handlers. And it compels you to speak honestly about all questions answered. You can choose to allow it to proceed, or you can try and resist it.
Yes, he will, L3's not going to, resist this. I'm guessing because of that protocol that activated earlier, he has some inherent trust for this guy, and everything seems to be ringing true even though he can't remember. Like, the logical aspect of his, protocols are just putting the pieces together, and it sounds right, so, and honestly, nothing he knows so far... he'll just go with it.
And as the debrief protocol clicks in, you are essentially compelled to answer honestly to all of his questions. He looks at you in the ocular sensor and he says, "What have you been up to in the last year?"
Ever since my reactivation, I have been serving the Rebel Alliance in their war against the Empire. I have served...
A noble cause, yes, good.
I served as adjunct to several captains until thus time, an incident occurred on my last assignment.
And what was this incident, L3?
We were involved in a pitched battle with the Empire where things were statistically not in our favor. I thought several times we were going to lose the battle, as the common consensus, as logic would agree, that the Empire had superior numbers and tactics. But a group of mercenaries tipped the scales and altered the the statistics in which I had governed the battle in what I'd like to call the force ratio.
Force ratio? What do you mean, force ratio?
It is something that I remembered from my past, as it were, that I ascribed to the unnatural, dare I say, categorizing it as luck, surrounding force-sensitive individuals. These mercenaries displayed force sensitivity.
Who are these mercenaries?
They are the group in which I travel with now. They triggered something in my latent memory core, and I needed to understand why my protocols seemed to be in such sync with these individuals.
And he proceeds to question you over 5 minutes to the individual names and brief descriptions of each of your companions, which of course you freely give to him. And he thinks for a minute, and he looks at you, Conservator XR2. What is your mission then? Your current mission? What is it you are here for? So he says, what is your current mission?
My current mission parameters is to, in any way, trigger latent memories from my damaged memory core and discover my primary
Very well. I may be able to assist you in that case. I admit I was conflicted as to whether to contact you at all. And when I saw your old tracking protocol go active, I must admit I could not simply resist. However, I really had to know if my creation was indeed still active. I am concerned over whether I can trust you now that you are acting on free will rather than Republic programming. And I'm even more troubled that you have no memory of your past assignments. However, you are a marvel of art and engineering, Conservator XR2, and I hate to leave my child to wander the galaxy in obscurity. And he starts to get carried away, layering it with drama. You're letting the ravages of time blunt your beautifully articulated gold titanium joints and erode your serinium-etched servo circuits, and then he kind of shakes his head and says, I can't bear it. If you choose to better understand your past and further unlock your many talents, reach out to me again in the future. And he hands you a small, what would look like almost like a USB chip. It's like a small plug-in chip. You know what this is. And as he hands it to you, you suddenly remember that these are common use in espionage, that they're made to be plugged into any computer or comlink and would enable contact through private channels that couldn't be traced. Refer to my handle, Subroso, and the codename Conservator, and I will answer. I will help you where I can. Understand one thing, Conservator XR2. If you jeopardize my cover, you will never see me again. I cannot stress this enough. You cannot tell anyone, even your trusted companions, about me. I watched my entire team be rounded up by the Imperial Security Bureau agents, and I know what fate they meant. I have no intention of suffering that same fate or being blasted in the back of the skull by a Hutt enforcer for being a security leak. But then he stops for a minute and puts his arm on yours and says, be safe, Conservator XR2. Consider this your first test. And he hands you a small burner datapad. Basically, again, seeing it would trigger the knowledge from common protocols in your past that once it's read, this thing will fry its own circuits and be unusable. Kind of very Inspector Gadgety. This message will self-destruct. And he says to you, you will find the first lead to your past in the memory banks of this intelligence system. Expect a challenge. And right as he says that, a sound is heard, kind of like a splash in the corridors behind you. And Subroso looks nervously behind him.
I will turn to look, trying to investigate the disturbance.
Roll a hard perception check, please.
Perception. Ooh.
You don't notice anything, but as you turn to survey the noise and then turn back again, Subroso is gone. It's like you look and he's just not there anymore. And you don't even see water moving or a gate moving or anything, a creaking, nothing. He just vanished. And you're standing alone deep down, many levels below the surface of Nar Shadaa in the steamworks, holding a burner datapad.
And that chip?
And the chip, yes.
First, L3 will be impressed with the man's stealth skill that seemed to be far beyond his own program. And, second, he will... Was he able to record that entire conversation?
Not unless you had said to do so at the time.
Okay, that's fair.
However, in all fairness, even if you had tried, once he activated the debrief protocol, it would have forbade you from recording this scenario.
Okay, well, he was going to encrypt that data in his own head, because he intends to be honest and follow this man's advice for the time being.
Interestingly enough, after the protocol terminates, you remember having a conversation with him and you remember what you guys talked about, but you have no memory of any of the questions he asked you specifically.
Oh.
You remember the rest of the conversation perfectly, but as far as the questions immediately following the debrief protocol, you have no recollection of what he asked you. You just know he asked you some things.
I will make particular note of that if we have any discussion or the directive of debriefing is brought into being next. If there is a next time. And
at this moment, are you reading the data pad now or taking it with you and looking at it later? You do know, you would freely know that the moment you activate it to read it, you have a short time frame to do so, and then it self-destructs itself.
Can I check the current area to just check if we are actually safe, or the distraction was just to make Sub Rosa
Yeah.
If so, then he would read it here, and he would make a recording of the data on the...
So, as you look through the data pad, it contains a summary of a top-secret Republic intelligence handler. It's not a person, but rather an artificial intelligence. And this AI was responsible for coordinating intelligence assets in the Outer Rim that were inserted into various high-risk, deep undercover assignments. And this AI was known as Greywave. And the datapad reveals it was Greywave had been stolen. The actual artificial intelligence unit was stolen somehow by Glabo the Hutt, who is here on Nar Shadaa, and it's currently being held deep within his stronghold on the moon. It does note, caution advised, as it is well protected and the unit itself is a highly sophisticated and now possibly hostile artificial intelligence. And it reveals a code key to activate a suppressed dossier on a project known as Whisperfall. So once you have access to Greywave, you will be able to access a invisible dossier in his banks on Project Whisperfall. And this is your first lead that Sub Rosa gives you to unlock your past. And after you read it, all of a sudden the circuits sizzle and fry and the datapad burns up and the screen kind of melts and gets distorted. You still have the contact chip.
Perfect. Yeah, L3's actually very excited about all this. He left, he didn't really particularly have purpose in the Rebel Alliance, even though he had directives. And now he finally feels like he's doing what he was meant to do.
And now what we're going to do is, let's jump back into the main chat room. Now you will not yet be with the rest of the party. You will have been gone approximately 4 hours from when you left. So although you'll be in the chat room and listening and everything, you will not be with the rest of the party for a few hours.
Okay, just trigger when I
will let you know. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I get tired of reading this.
Good evening, everyone.
Ooh. Hey.
I don't know if you are enjoying the side music that was going on.
Yes, we decided that it was what was it, Scott? 1980s.
It's either a Klonopin commercial or this very haunted house on A&E. I'm not sure.
This very haunted house on A&E.
I just love that it could be a Klonopin commercial.
I got more this very haunted house on A&E. That's what I got from it as well.
Yeah. Are we gonna find like Leto completely disassembled in the back of some shop as we are, making our escape?
Jensa, you know very well that my secret plan is to somehow engineer Leto being in pieces and carrying parts of him on Ishwar as we run through a complex somewhere.
Yes, that was exactly what was in my head when you were in the cone of silence, actually.
I'm just counting down the days to when that happens.
Okay, so
you're going the wrong way.
If you see Kip with a screwdriver, Leto, run in the other direction.
last game, it was quite obvious that someone, probably Viktor, had been subdued in our ship and there was blood everywhere. How much blood are we talking about?
It would have been the kind of degree of blood that, like a bloody hand smear would have streaked across the terminal. Like,
Okay, so
you're
it's
not
not
talking
like,
about like liters
pints.
of blood here. More like a blood smear.
Chunks of flesh.
Or if
And
you
I
go
could
to
go-
like the bagel place, it's a schmear
If you gather it all
Schmear.
together, we can reform Viktor. There's that.
That would be
From
bad.
his liquids.
That would be bad.
It's more than I need.
Okay, so why don't we start by everybody rolling Destiny?
I did, and for once I rolled light side.
Huzzah!
Starting off good. Oh,
snap.
Bior, my man.
Wow, yes.
For once, we've got more light side than dark side. This never happened.
It
It
used to
happened.
happen all the time, and I was the only one that rolled dark side points. I think it was 22 games before I rolled a light side pick.
Good job,
like, a
Destiny
tally
rolls.
going.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 light side, and I got 3 dark side. Not that it's a contest, but you know.
Between good and evil.
It is.
Yeah, it's not like our the name of our campaign is something like, light or darkness or night or day or candle or the night.
Jensa, you had to do a lot of center stage role playing last session. I'd like you to roll a d10 for me, please.
Okie doke. Is this for throwing myself in front of?
Actually, I really like. I just like to announce. I really like the nice touch of when the grenade came down. You instinctively jumped on Kip to protect him. Okay, you
I'm
rolled
trying to
a
role play
9.
my moving up on the light side.
You rolled a 9. Old friends long gone. As an action, you can summon a manifestation of a force spirit of someone from your character's past that was gifted in the force. You may ask this apparition for guidance on a single specific problem or instruction on a single specific skill or power. And that is active for this session only.
Oh well, since I was having like a panic attack at the end of last game, I think I will start off the game by using that as soon as you're ready.
Okay, that's too low. There we go. All right, so we are starting tonight, session or episode number 27. Let's recap our last episode, session 26, which I just threw the title up there, temporary title, Aldous Raiders, because that was your self-appointed group name. Our heroes take a moment to relax after the harrowing Battle of Spinax as they travel in hyperspace to Nar Shadaa. Jensa consults the holocron on the difference between the light and dark sides of the Force, and she gains some wisdom in learning to clear her mind in times of stress, which, let me tell you, she got to practice. As the party lands on Nar Shadaa, they go to make the drop-off of their spice shipment to Shuck Rodank. Jensa has Tyrus make the drop since, frankly, she despises that Aqualish. Tyrus earns the respect of the spice chemist for the successful delivery and is even awarded some samples of his fine creations. Earmuff, Jensa. Tyrus then asks Shuck if he will help create an elixir that will enable him to open his mind to other dimensions of space and time, and Shuck feels confident that he can. The party then splits up into 2 groups, and one goes to register for the Great Hunt, and the other goes to hang out at the local watering hole, Jolly Somewheres. Jensa, Leto, and Kip, while en route to registration, are accosted by a grenade thrown by Crate, your old nemesis. After shielding Kip from the explosion, Jensa notices that the assailant is none other than Crate, who for some reason unveils himself to the public in the guise of Viktor. Crate flees and the party elects to let him get away, which Crate uses to his advantage to further his agenda. And as the party moves to enter the registration facility, Crate appears again, throwing a second grenade straight into a crowd of bystanders, forcing Jensa's hand, who then moves with precognitive speed and fires her pistol at the grenade with such speed she is able to detonate it in midair before anyone can be hurt. The party is then taken under guard to answer questions relating to the attack. They are brought before the presiding council of the Pan-Galactic Bounty Association, and this council is known as the League of Champions. Their president, Lady Viviana McGinty, questions our heroes to her satisfaction. Jens is particularly charming and earns Lady McGinty's respect. The party makes a strong case for being permitted entry into the competition, even though they are not card-carrying members of any bounty guild. A motion is made by Lady McGinty to enact a sub-clause of their regulations which would permit the party to enter if they could find a corporate sponsor or fund their entrance fee themselves, and succeed in a trial at the opening ceremony, especially in light of their heroic actions to avert public disaster at the expo. Although there is some dissent among the council, the vote is to allow the motion. Before leaving the facility, Jensa has a foreseeing vision of Crate murdering a Selkath bounty hunter after getting some valuable information out of him, and then cruelly dropping his corpse to fall publicly off the balcony on a high-rise apartment building. Moments later, the party sees the body fall gruesomely to his demise. The purpose behind this is unclear. The party reconvenes at Jolly Somewheres, where they meet the owner, Jolly. Tyrus attempts to parley with him, but becomes frustrated at Jolly's obvious lack of high society sophistication. Rather, it seems, Jolly is more of a local nightclub owner who prides himself on friendship with various elements in town, and kind of thinks of himself as someone who can get people things. When he hears that the party needs a sponsor, he is instantly interested, and he proposes terms for a deal. But on realizing that winning the Great Hunt may mean advertisement notoriety, Jensa becomes spooked. They put Jolly's offer on hold in favor of considering other options. Upon discussing it as a group, realization is made that notoriety might not be a bad thing, as it can provide a deceptive cover to hide the party's true agenda. After all, better to be known as effective mercenaries and bounty hunters than as Force sensitives attempting to rescue other Force sensitives. Sadly, however, upon regrouping on the Errant Seeker, the party is greeted by a broken-into ship with obvious signs of a struggle. Viktor is missing and not responding to his comlink, leaving only a digital trail of something called Project Greywave on the screen of his terminal, which is bloody on the screen. And this brings us to the current moment with you guys on the ship. And you had just kind of seen a little display by L3 who had tried to sort of forensically reconstruct the scene, but it kind of didn't work out. And as you guys kind of broke to start discussing it moments later, you kind of look and L3's gone. But the rest of you are there in the lounge on the ship. And here's where I turn it over to you guys.
I kind of look at Bior and say, is there any way you can tell if that's Victor's blood?
Is there capabilities for that on the ship?
If you had a medbay available to you, you could do a DNA analysis, but I think you just lack this facilities right here.
Right. Well, no, not on this ship. We don't have the proper equipment.
I'm gonna go to my room for a second and see if I can maybe focus, and maybe I can find him. I can try again. Do any of you guys have any idea how to message him or get in touch with him?
Out of character.
Can you reach out to him with the Force, Tyrus?
We've searched the entire ship, right? For any type of clues.
Not really.
We have not yet.
No.
That's what you guys can do.
I can actually do a force check to sense the presence of any living being, but I think it may be constrained by rain.
It's worth a shot. And Bio or Ishwar, if you can search the ship, make sure we need to make sure the box is still on the ship. Bendex's box.
Yeah, I scour the ship for any type of clue or anything.
Ishwar
please.
looks at Kip and says, "Didn't you tell me Jens is the one that's good at finding track?"
I think so. Yeah.
I am. I need a minute.
Can we do a perception check to see if there's any other clues around the bloody terminal that might help us, if there's anything else that was left behind?
Yeah, whichever one of you wants to make the check, I'll allow it, and then just add a boost dice for your team cooperation.
Yeah.
Hey, but hold on, what about my heightened awareness?
Ooh, tell me more about heightened awareness, Bior.
So, any ally within a short distance from me gets a boost dice, and if they're in an engaged distance, they get 2 boost dice to any perception check.
Would this be a shiny new talent that you just got?
You know it!
And are we not
So that
totally
means-
excited to have an awesome way to use it right now?
I know, it's perfect.
And isn't
So, okay.
that 3 boost dice, if I'm doing the boost dice math correct?
Yes, you would get 3. Bayer, I want you to narrate for us how this appears and how this kind of unfolds, being this is the first time you're using this ability.
Well, I mean, I'm not much of a detective, but I try to analyze the blood patterns and maybe the direction that the person was walking in. So maybe we should search more, in that direction, checking the floor, any more little like blood spatters that we might be able to notice. Just try to keep an eye on these things. I try to point out things as everybody else is looking.
And as he strains to kind of intellectually describe it, I would also say for the rest of you, merely his presence around you creates a sense of calm alertness. And it is certainly something that tingles with the feeling of the Force.
Oh, well, that's excellent.
So, why don't we
going
make
in.
our check with 3 blue dice, hard perception check.
Hang on.
Sweet.
Wow.
Well,
I didn't add the,
we didn't add the
difficulty.
difficulty.
Right. So just
got-
roll
I
the
got-
3.
Yeah, just
Purple.
roll the 3 purple. He's
Roll
got
those 3
3
juicy
successes
purples.
And 1, 2, 5.
Much like Jensa, I was a little trigger happy.
All right, so you still got 1 net success and 2 net advantage. Okay, so as under Bayor and Tyrus's careful scrutiny, you're making your way through the ship and looking for evidence. You find a few interesting clues. First of all, you can tell that the locking system of the ship had been hijacked using some kind of technological device. There's a small red kind of cap that was forcibly jammed into the small access pad by the rear entry hatch. Like it's kind of like not a data spike, but something like that. You have to kind of like forcibly insert it into the circuitry, and it allows you to hijack the locking mechanism. And there's a serial number on it.
Does this look more like brute force or like finesse?
It's definitely technological finesse. This is
They
expensive
have their
technology.
weapon.
This is expensive technology that people would use.
And would someone have a knowledge or computer check to be able to tell whose technology?
Yes, and we'll get to that in 1 second. However, the second clue you find is there's a second blood sample that you can find near the exit hatch. It is a darker color of blood, and it is smeared along the the exit way, and it is also in a handprint. It just doesn't seem to match the same color as the other blood.
Would Bayer be able to tell?
Yeah, can I get samples of the 2?
Yes, you can get samples of each of the blood. So you have a small sample of both of the blood kind of specimen. And you have the small red device that you pried free from the entry pad at the door with a serial number.
Can we also get a fingerprint analysis or some sort of shape of the hand to try to tell what species this?
Yes, you could do that as well. That would be something that you could scan an image with any of your data pads and save it.
I'll have Remus scan it, and I'll let everyone know that Remus has the 2 handprint images in his databank.
While they're doing that, Jin's is gonna try to clear her head because if you remember last session, I rolled all that dark side dice when I tried to seek on Victor.
Yes,
so I'm
you
just
did.
gonna step out of the way of the group for a few minutes. I'll probably just step into my bedroom or any room off the main entryway or possibly into the cockpit, just wherever I'm out of the way.
Oh, and by the way,
I'm
the
gonna
rest.
try-
One of the rest of you, by the
Try-
way, make a note. Keep a note. You can keep notes in the fantasy grounds here. Just keep a note of the clues you have, so you can follow up on them later.
Yeah, I just put in my other tab that Remus has saved images of the 2 different bloody handprints.
Okay.
Okay,
And
are you
Jenso.
doing it, Kip? I'll let Kip do it.
Oh, do you want me to? Okay, I can do all
No.
of this.
It makes sense if one person does the note taking because then it's
Okay.
consistent.
So we have blood samples.
And a chip. I'm just
Then
gonna
we have-
step into my room since it's the closest thing there. I'm gonna step into my room, and since my door is right there, 'cause I'm in 6, and I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm gonna try to clear my head, and I'm gonna use my boon for the evening. I'm just going to think back on one of the Jedi that took care of Jinsa. It'd be the closest thing to a parent to her. One of the Jedi, when Jinsa was a child, and she's just trying to remember what they would tell her to get her to calm down when she was, being a 3-year-old and having a fit, or being a 4-year-old and having a fit.
So, Jensa, you tell me, reaching back to that young age, who is the one figure that you can clearly remember?
I have not named these NPCs. You are welcome to develop them if you want to, because she was so little, and I don't think she would have a very accurate memory of who they were because she was a child. I don't know. It was a pretty isolated monastery with so probably somebody that was older or a race that's more inclined to be secluded.
Okay. And what was their role at that time?
I would assume they were basically like I said, the place that Jinsa was kept during the trade war because they couldn't get her to Coruscant was basically like a Jedi temple that was historically important, but not actually in active use for anything. So the Jedi that stayed there basically were people more interested in focusing on their own personal meditations into the Force and not actively engaged in like politics or counseling or adventuring about the galaxy as some Jedi are wont to do. They were more the introspective kind of members of the Order, more scholarly types. But I would assume they had to take care of Jinsa because she was a kid and no one else did, so.
And as you form that picture of someone you remember from your past, you see slowly before you materialize a elderly woman in very classic plain brown Jedi robes of a nice thick kind of cloth with a pale sand-colored tunic underneath. And her gray hair is pulled back into sort of a bun, and there's kind of like a stick through it that kind of holds the bun in place, almost like a chopstick looking thing. But and she has, kind eyes, some wrinkles in her skin, graying of her hair, and she looks down at you and says, there, child. What's the matter?
Gonna kind of suck in a breath with the shock of the scenario. That's just honestly who Jinsa would think of immediately. But I kind of suck up a breath. My friend Viktor, he's been taken, and I can't focus to find him. I'm trying to find him, and I can't make. I'm so stressed out. I don't know what to do.
Oh, my dear. What is it you worry about your friend?
I think someone's hurt him.
Do you feel his suffering?
Should I try?
At the moment, actually, you don't feel... granted, you're probably not experienced in that level of empathy, but as you kind of reach out with your feelings for a moment, you You don't feel anything necessarily alarming. And she looks at you for a moment and she says, "You must learn, my child, to disconnect yourself from the fear of what might be. If it is the Force's will that your friend is gone, then you will come to understand that it was as it was meant to be, and you will be fine. And your love for him will continue. You cannot dwell in fear."
Are you really here?
And she cocks her head for a moment and looks at you and says, "Of course I am here. In the Force, none who live or die ever truly vanish."
I'm just gonna take a deep breath. I'm gonna try to focus on what she said, and I'm going to try again to reach out with the Force and find Viktor was sick.
And as you close your eyes to do that, she says to you, "Love is a powerful thing, but you must not give in to the fear of loss. That is what leads you to irrational actions and to anger and danger and vengeance and rashness. Trust in the Force. It will guide you to your friend. And you must trust in your ability to see him through to safety. And if it is not to be, then it is not the will of the Force, and it is as it is meant to be. But sitting here in terror over the infinite possibilities that lay before you will serve you nothing."
I'm gonna try to really take what she said to heart and try to refocus again and use the seek ability.
And now, I would like you to roll for me your Force rating, please. Okay. Now, unlike last time where you were flooded with darkness, negativity, and anxiety when you reached out, even though a lot of that is still there, you feel this one kind of ray of calmness, this tiny little beam of peace as you kind of reflect on what she told you, and you drown the rest of it out and you just focus on that. Can you make for me an average discipline check, please? So you begin to feel, you rolled 2 failures and a triumph, so you begin to feel panic as that one little ray of light that you were focusing on begins to kind of get lost in the fear and anxiety that you're feeling. And you start to feel your pulse rate go up and your vision's clouding and you're just losing it. You're losing that connection. And you see the apparition lean down to you, and she rests her hand on your forehead. And as she does, you feel a surge of calmness wash over your entire body. And she says, "You must learn to let go of your fear. Fear drives so many of your actions throughout your entire life. There is another way." And as she says that, all of a sudden you instantly feel a very focused centering like you've never experienced before, and you kind of get it. You kind of get the understanding of what it is to be in a place of calmness without thought. It has just been thrust upon you by her. And now that you felt it, you understand it. And in that moment, you have this rush of power, and you understand intuitively as you reach out with the Force, you feel Viktor, and he is there. He is alive. And you feel him on the surface of Nar Shadaa, and there are brief flashes, and you see kind of, blurry, kind of streaky images of a cell, of an interrogation, and you see the bloated, over hefty form of a Hutt with kind of tiger stripe kind of body markings.
I'm going to immediately start calling. I'm keeping my eyes closed so I can really focus on what I see in my head. But I'm gonna start kind of shouting it out to Tyrus as it's happening, so that he can hear the description, since he seems to know some of these players. But I'll just start kind of like describing what I'm seeing as loudly as possible in the hopes that Tyrus hears it.
And all of a sudden you feel on your forehead a thrum as you feel your vocal cords constrict and you literally can't speak. And you hear her voice in your mind, "Center yourself, child."
I'm going to center myself then. I'm going to listen to the ghost.
And as the image is complete in your mind, you feel a sense of awareness that Viktor is alive and he is okay for the moment. And you are fairly close to him on Nar Shadaa. And as that fades, you see the aged woman above you kind of gently smile down upon you, and she begins to fade as her form evaporates. And kind of like when you wake up from a dream where like you knew you had a dream, but you start to not remember it very well. You kind of start to forget that feeling of certainty of what that centering felt like. But you managed to hold on to a little impression of it. But in the moment you were in it, you felt it just totally intuitively. And you can't help but feel this sense like you want to figure out how to get back to that again.
Yes. I'm going to, as she's kind of fading, just say thank you. And I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to try to keep my enhanced my calm, and I'm going to walk out to the others. But they had a chance to, I'm sure, do some investigating while I was in there, so just let me know when I can jump back in.
So, my question, did she actually describe that out loud?
No, you never heard anything, actually.
She force choked me.
That was the most light-sided force choke you've ever felt.
Your vocal cords constrict.
Okay, so Jensa walks out of her quarters into the group amongst you, very quiet.
Oh, well, okay, if I could just come right back up and say, he's alive. He's being interrogated in a cell. I saw a hut, and I'm going to describe the hut I saw to the group.
Would I be able to use knowledge underworld to identify by that description?
This would be a hard knowledge underworld check, but yes, you could make that check.
He looked like a slug, but he had some stripes.
Hard is 3.
Hard is 3 purple.
And
actually, because I'm a jerk, I'm going to give you 1 black dice because you're operating off someone's description.
Does anybody...
Can anyone boost him, Albie?
Yeah, that's my question. Does anybody else have underworld?
I have 4 ranks in underworld.
Oh, you have 4 ranks?
I'm sorry. Wrong. I have 4 green dice in underworld.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm a badass, but not that bad.
I was like, whoa.
He could lend you 1 blue dice, actually.
What about my lore? Wouldn't work for this at all, would it?
No, in this case, lore is not very useful. Lore would be more...
But your xenology might help in terms of figuring out where the hut's from or the family.
Well, you're not looking for information on huts in general. You're looking for the identity of a specific hut.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I would like to upgrade with a force.
All right. Go ahead and flip that force chit and upgrade the dice check. Upgrade your difficulty. Upgrade your ability check. All right, you rolled 4 successes and a threat. So, judging by the description from what you've heard of famous underworld huts, the tiger striped hut that she describes is most likely Glabo the Hutt, as you have heard him described before. Very well known on Nar Shadaa, very well inserted into a number of activities here, including a lot of the gambling and thuggery and things like that goes on here. So
And he's of the Basadi Hutt, isn't he?
He is indeed. And
I thought I recognized that.
You also think that he, as far as you've heard, might actually possibly sometimes be found in the casino, the casino that you were discussing earlier.
Which we're planning on going to anyway.
So Ishwar relays the name of the hut and what he's known for. With 4 successes, do I get any other information? Like, maybe I know where what neighborhood his power, right? Or something.
Oh, no, yes, you would. I mean, you would freely know with that name and where his stronghold was.
Okay. Cool.
But it is not a sort of place that people freely walk in and out of.
Okay. So Ishwar then looks at Kip to be his translator, since he's the only one there, and
actually it's Remus. Remus floats by your head. So
okay.
Did we roll for last game for our Wookiee learning?
So Ishwar will continue to explain. Glabo the Hutt is a big thuggery guy. He works underground. This is where his seat of power is. So we probably know where Viktor's being held.
I don't suppose there's any good odds of us busting him out.
Why wouldn't there be? Ishwar?
It sounds like our way in may be through the casino.
I think you're probably right, because I'd love to just go.
That sounds right.
Another quick...
By the way, just a quick GM aside, just to kind of get the concept in everyone's mind. There's going to be a lot of things in the adventures that will rely under the concept of investigation. And aside from your knowledge, when you need to investigate clues for something or figure out answers, of course your core knowledge, various knowledge skills will help in the research to look for things, as you've already demonstrated. But other things that are useful, of course, like your perception to note clues, your vigilance to kind of be aware of things that are happening around you. Sometimes even streetwise, to go out and hit the streets and talk to people and figure out information you need to know. So all of these kind of skills can be used in various ways to collect clues for investigation, which, incidentally, will be of great use to you when you are bounty hunting.
Another...
I have survival. Is there anything...
And survival. Good point, Jensen. Yes.
He's basically saying there's knowledge checks and then there's social checks.
Yeah. Well, I actually have tracking stuff, so we know who has him. It seems kind of irrelevant to immediately track him, but it might be good to know who got him. I don't think we should be moving anywhere alone with Crate actively gunning for us, and Crate's obviously seen Kip with me. Where's Leto? We really shouldn't be off by ourselves.
Yeah, he's gone. You don't know where he is.
I'm calming the droid.
Now, when you say gone, how gone are you referring to?
He is not presently on the ship, and you cannot, to the best of your recollection, remember when he disappeared, aside from when you kind of saw him do that forensic reconstruction. And then shortly after that, he vanished.
Now, the bolts that they are wearing, are they capable of being tracked?
You do not have a tracking device on L3.
Damn it.
He's an eccentric droid, I say to Tyrus.
He's eccentric because he's no longer at the center, yes.
Well,
of course, I mean, you're free to talk to him on the comlink if you want, but...
That's what I'm doing. I'm saying, Leto.
Am I allowed to answer at this point, or...?
Sure. It's up to you.
Greetings, Mr. Jensen.
Where did you go, bud?
Investigating additional data outside ship, trying to track down latest information on codename Viktor.
Oh. I say with the comm channel open to Tyrus. It seems like he just went on, I guess his investigation protocol kicked in. He's outside the ship investigating. Did you
Failure.
find anything?
Kip
Not-
says, why did he say codename Vic?
Proper introductions were not made at the time of my entrance into the crew.
I look over to Jensen and say, is it typical for a droid to seek the initiative of his own design to go off and seek clues?
I shrug helplessly. I've never owned a protocol.
No, he should be repurposed.
Is the comm still active when he says that?
Yeah, Jensen, do you still have your finger on the button?
Sentient spittoon somewhere.
I would say cleaned it worse, I say, without the comm on. But, I don't know. Can you check his security bolt? Make sure he's functioning properly, Kip? I don't know. I don't know much about droids. I shrug at Tyrus.
Leto,
Droids.
report your I hit the con link. Leto, report your location.
Albie, how would I describe my current location? I mean, I would say the Carillion district, I would say.
At this particular point, you would be ascending somewhere up through the red light district. You're still below.
I'd say the Carillion district.
Is
One
that where the
above.
really rusty droids hang out?
Make a deception check, average difficulty, please. Leto.
I actually can block
Counter
incoming
that.
deception checks if I remember correctly.
Do we counter that? Is there counter roll for that?
He's allowed to make the check, but I mean, you know,
Yeah.
we can.
But we have nobody's fool. We can upgrade the difficulty of any incoming deception.
Oh, do you have nobody's fool?
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
does
okay.
Sarah.
So one of those becomes a red dice, but
Failed anyway.
he already failed. So you guys can tell he seems to be skirting something. You're not sure what, but he manages to kind of make his purpose elusive, but you don't feel like he's telling you the truth.
Leto, why are you withholding information from us?
Current surroundings do not permit free vocalization of location.
Then send your information via datapad, please.
Can I
Touche.
do that?
You could if you choose to, yeah. But I mean, that's rather presumptuous of your human overlords to force you to to act as net
Yeah,
nanny.
these stupid meatbags.
You think our robot? Well, hey,
Submit
These
to
uppity
mass.
meatbags.
We're dealing with a murder bot already.
Are you describing Leto as a murder bot as well?
No, I'm just saying my faith in the android, loyalty
Tomato,
department
tomato.
is kind of waning right now.
She's Ripley, he's Bishop. That's
Leto,
what's happening
oh
right
god, no. Does that mean you're gonna come out in like a construction robot suit and start fighting Leto?
No, it means that Leto's about to be torn into two pieces, gushing
And then
a
I'll just
clear
carry his head
liquid.
around and have
Oh,
a
that
conversation.
gooey white nasty stuff that comes
Yeah.
out of droids and aliens. Okay.
Don't say that. No, rephrase.
Phrasing.
You know what? I'm not gonna go there, but it does look like the sap. Have you ever had jasmine? Have you ever had to deal
Yes.
with cutting back
Who's Jasmine?
The
plant?
princess from
Oh,
Aladdin.
sorry. A whole
Yes.
new world.
There's thousands of jasmines, mostly centralized in Las Vegas.
It ain't the ballet bar. It's
when
the
you have to cut back Confederate jasmine, it bleeds milky stuff, and that I always think of the Alien movies whenever I've had to trim back jasmine. Always.
So Leto, are you going to
Just
give in to this demand?
Kip belatedly says, please. After a good 30-second pause.
When you do that, actually, Kip, you hear Remus kind of chide you for a moment. Like he's a little annoyed at your tone with Leto.
You will,
I look at Remus and then I say, pardon my rudeness.
He agrees.
No, I said, I thank you, Remus. But I was saying that over the comm.
There will be silence, and then something chirps in your datapad, and you will see an image of a what was that that enhancement place we passed?
So he sends an image through the datapad of a very dark kind of alleyway deep down in the bowels of Nar Shadaa. And you kind of get a glimpse of some of the locations down there. There's a kind of guarded.
That's what I was saying.
What's that?
Just a Mandalorian. Come on, people. Not all of them.
Yeah, so you do notice like a picture. There's a Heartache Bistro there, which seems to be a central location. Then some on like a door that's guarded that says Better Bodies. It's some kind of body modification surgical facility. By the way, as a brief aside, I would like to acknowledge our artist who did this beautiful work. His name is Daniel F.
No way.
He did a great job kind of creating the recreating a scene of the red light district in Nar Shadaa. So this is the picture you see, and you can't even see the sky. It's dark, and the reason it's dark is it's so far down into the crevices of the levels beneath that the light never hits it. So,
And small.
I show this to everyone. Or I send it to everyone else's datapad, and then I show it to Tyrus belatedly because I remember he doesn't know how to use his datapad.
Machines, honey, machines.
Don't hand him things. He hates that.
I don't have machines. I have people that have machines.
Real quick, Albie, while we're dealing with this, I'm gonna, as we're talking with Leto and looking at the datapad, I'm just gonna quickly make sure that the box is still on the ship and the holocron is still on the ship.
So as you go to investigate, you do notice the holocron is still safely in the lounge area, and sort of tucked away safely in a hidden compartment in the cargo bay is Dr. Bendix's device. Thankfully, still intact.
Okay. Because somebody grabbed Viktor, that's a serious concern, right? Because that means basically we aren't going to be doing the bounty hunting thing. We're going to have to immediately find Viktor. I mean, at least hunting crate is part of the bounty hunting contest, right? We might
actually, you don't know what the exact terms of the bounty hunting contest are yet. You are still seeking the right to enter.
Anyway, I text back to, or I message back to all three. Would you like us to? Would you like us to meet you, or should we await your return?
You will get a prompt reply in text. Almost at like a really fast pace because you're dealing with a droid.
Right.
He would say negative. He can move more freely alone. Was pursuing a suspicion of body snatchers for local enhancement on Red Light District. Wanted to check if he was kidnapped for the purposes of repurposing humanoid tissue and any augments that he might have.
Yes. Well, just so you know, we believe we know who is holding
Globber the Hutt. What put you on to looking into some body augmentation guy, Leto?
You then see an image of two thugs approaching him, and all communication is cut off.
Yeah, you see a Hook and a Clantunian kind of like street thug kind of go right up to him with a truncheon and vibrio blade.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of look at the group and go, okay, I think our droid might be broken.
Right after he tells you, "Don't wait up, Dad," and it clicks off.
That's why they
He's not broken. He's not broken. He has developed idiosyncrasies. It's what we organics might call personality.
Or as they say at Rolls-Royce, they
Does he
never
need a
break
system?
down, they simply cease to function.
There's so much droid racism. I
Prey
love it.
did that, and he's like a murdered bot. So,
Really glad I went to tech.
we've got to go to the casino though, so it makes sense that we do what Tyrus wanted us to do initially, which is to get ourselves appropriately costumed.
Yeah, I mean,
But
Tyrus's existing attire would already be appropriate for the casino, but honestly, the rest of you would need to get proper clothes.
I was exploded with a grenade today. I really need a makeover right now.
So, the one question I do have is, with my knowledge
Good, I can
checker, would we also know who Globo's competitors or his arch nemesis would be?
No, not offhand. You would have to do some investigation, asking around, find some information on that.
Okay.
You should recall from what may have already been told to you that there are multiple Kajidics or clans or cartels active on the planet. As Tyrus pointed out, he is part of Besadi, which is one particular family clan. And there are others. Probably most important would be the Desiligic Kajidic too, which Jabba belongs to. But those are sort of like dominant forces in this particular area. And they are opposing in their aims most commonly.
I would like to do some research on this data spike. They left the serial number, so that's strange in and of itself. I think you would first look up the serial number. Who manufactured this? Where is it manufactured? That thing.
It sounds like we may be breaking into 3 different camps. Number 1, we have to find out what happened to Leto. Number 2, there is information and potentially progress to be made at the casino. And then number 3, there's a technological question for Kip. Does that mean we split into 3 different aspects at this point?
That's up to you guys, yeah.
I'm saying that mostly to Jensa and Bior because I'm figuring Kip doesn't have much of an opinion, and I'm not quite sure what Ishwar would have to say on it because I don't speak Wookiee yet because I haven't rolled the dice.
Remus speaks for you.
Remus can freely translate everything he says if he's present.
Yeah, well, I'm with you, Tyrus. We need to go to the casino.
And I'm just going to look at Bior and Jensa and say, I could use your help with a little matter that I have to take care of at the casino. I believe you two would be the best partners in this particular aspect. A Wookiee at the casino might raise, and all he does is raise one eyebrow.
What, you don't
like this?
What, I'm not high class enough to hang out at the casino?
Not in the least. Believe me, the type of people that hang out at this casino are not the type of people that are to be looked up to.
And as you guys are kind of bickering over that particular issue, your data pad, Ishwar, is pinging in your pocket.
Okay, he pulls it out of his backpack.
His Wookiee pocket. I just thought about that. Yeah, I don't. If you're a furry, you probably have a Wookiee pocket. But I'm gonna just say your backpack.
A Wookiee pocket.
Your
That's how
Wookiee
he
pocket.
keeps his young
Pouch.
warm.
You have
That's
salad
okay.
bags.
And
Don't worry about it fogging up.
okay, so yes, righto. Your Wookiee pocket is pinging.
So he opens his Wookiee pocket and removes his
and, okay, so on your data pad, you're getting an incoming active call, actually.
Hello.
So as you activate the data pad, you actually see. Sorry, I couldn't resist. You actually see Geleth Hawk on the screen. The blue-skinned Pantoran with a fantastic hairdo and absolutely stunning clothing. And he's kind of looks at you and he's like, "Hey, buddy, I kind of got an issue. You're going to want to know about this.
And in response, he says, "We also have an issue, but you go ahead, lay yours on the table first."
This one's time sensitive, and I promised you before that I owed you a little something with the Empire, and even though I had a lead, this trumps it big time. Have you ever heard of the name Spetogura? And Ishwar, you would know instantaneously in Siriwuk that is sort of a well-known title that refers to the name War Chief. And your personal knowledge from your past basically is he's kind of a well-known revolutionary figure after the enslavement of your world and the forced labor camps to build the Death Star and such. There were certain guerrilla movements that broke off with prominent Wookiee leadership, and a particular guerrilla clan, if you will, developed around Spetogura, who formed kind of a resistance movement and basically created a career around attacking and harassing Imperial activities ever since the fall of Kashyyyk. He's something of a legend. I think anybody in this particular era who's of Wookiee descent would think of him as a hero.
He says, "Of course. No self-respecting Wookiee would not know his name."
Well, this particular Pantoran knows his name as well. Let's just say in some of my business activities in the Outer Rim, he incidentally saved me when he was hitting an Imperial facility. It's one of the few times I ever got busted by Imperials on a smuggling run. But since he helped me out, I've always exchanged information with him and his team on a regular basis. I just got word through some pirate colleagues that he's been captured in Hutt space. The operation was funded by the Desperation Kajidic. They managed to get him somehow. Apparently he'll fetch an amazing price if he's sold to the Empire. I owe him a personal debt, and if I can have any hand in his rescue, it would satisfy that debt. I can tell you that he's currently on Nar Shadaa, about to be transported by a group of pirates who are going to trade in for the bounty. At the moment, they are about to depart from a docking bay whose location I will send you on the data pad, but there are some complications.
What are your complications? And can they be solved with explosives?
I like the way you think, you furry bastard. The problem is, it's a restricted area of the docking facility in the starport, and it's going to take a small army to break through typical security there. Not to mention, the Desperation Kajidic is stationed a lot of its guards there. Going straight through and fighting through would raise an unacceptable level of attention. The only way I could think of you getting in, and forgive me, it's a little degrading, you're going to have to agree to be stuffed into a crate marked for exotic pets. One of my contacts can get you smuggled in through the agricultural loading dock, and one large life form such as yourself won't trip security sensors. Maybe a droid if you have them, but you can't take any other biologic entities there with you, or the scanners will pick them up. You're gonna have to smuggle through in that exotic pet crate and then figure out how to break in. That's all I can think of.
Don't like tight spaces.
I know, buddy, but this is a short window of opportunity. I know it would mean a lot to you if you were able to rescue him, and frankly, it would settle a long-time life debt that I've had as well. I'll send you the coordinates.
Really quick.
Yeah.
This is the same cartel that has Viktor, right?
Actually, no, it's an opposing cartel.
Oh, okay.
Basadi is.
Ishwar talking to this person on comms in our I'm sorry, I was AFK for a sec.
I don't think Ishwar moved to a different area or tried to keep it secret. So.
And Remus is fully translating all of this.
Who's he talking?
Geleth Hawk.
Oh.
We have a lot on our table. One of ours is missing.
Gil, if somebody grab Viktor, can you fund us for the bounty hunting thing if we do this?
He looks at you, Jensen. He's like, "Hey, Jensen, I got your message. I was trying to think of a way to put this into words that doesn't sound as shitty as it really is, but unfortunately, I've already been contracted to sponsor someone, and I'm stuck on it. I can't help you with that part. I didn't know you guys were joining this."
But what if you form another company with me, sir, and then we can fund or sponsor the company?
You want me to create a shell corporation by tomorrow morning?
Don't we have enough on our table?
Is that possible?
I'm afraid that one you guys are gonna have to figure out on your own.
We'll just get a different sponsor. It's okay, Gillis. Don't take it personally. I'm not upset at you at all.
He looks like extremely visibly uncomfortable right now.
I look like I was blown up earlier today. 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. So.
And he looks, he's like, "Jensen, is that a hole in your jacket?"
And me, yeah. Speaking of which, we need to buy some stim packs, guys. I'm kind of tender here.
Isn't that what we sent you to do?
Well, I got blown up, so...
Well, it sounds like a better reason to buy more stim pack.
So, Galeth is like, "Listen, guys, I gotta go, but, Ishwar, I think you got about 30 minutes tops. These people are leaving. It's the best I can do. I hope you're able to get him."
I look at Ishwar and say, "Is this important to you?"
This is very important. Plus...
Alright, can we buy stim packs on the way?
If we get him free, there's a good chance he'd probably be willing to help us get Viktor. He would owe us.
That would be nice.
And Bayor can help to heal Jensa before she leaves.
He's already
correct?
healed me. I've been healed to the extent he can heal me for the day.
I have a stim pack that you can borrow.
Actually, Bayor, just so you know, Bayor, each character can be healed essentially 5 times in a day.
Oh!
Yeah.
I thought I was done for the day.
No, you are not. But anyway, Geleth clicks off the transmission. He sends you the location on the docking pad. Sorry. And he sends you the details, specifically that really only one organic life form can get through the security tomfoolery that he's suggesting. An inorganic life form can pass without difficulty.
Oh, so it's going to be like Lido and Ishwar.
If he's back in time, but I don't think he will be.
Lido, we have an emergency situation. Can you meet Ishwar? Over call.
At the moment, you get no response, right?
I would say so, yes. If this isn't part of the where we were yet.
Yeah, you
get static.
You get static right now.
Are you gonna be
Does
okay?
this robot do anything useful for me? He points at Kip's droid.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Wilson.
Can Remus do anything useful for me?
How far away are you going? You can go long distance from me.
He's going further than that.
Yeah, no.
Then
that
I
case,
would go with you.
No,
The best
I'll
you can
this
do
myself.
is send L3 your intended location and hope that he can rendezvous.
Yeah, he'll do that. He'll send him the location for assistance whenever he gets back. Check with me before you go there.
This is the part of KOTOR where you reload to choose the other option because it sounds really cool.
I would like to point out the irony that we had just discussed that it would be a bad idea for splitting up, and now it seems like we have to split up. But Ishwar, understand if you need to go. Please contact us if anything happens.
You're all about saving Jedi. This guy is basically a Jedi for us. Our people are too rare already.
No,
He picks up his.
I wish we could go with you.
He actually goes into the storage room and picks up the. He picks up the plasma shell assault cannon.
Oh shit!
I saw where you're going with that.
And leaves his bowcaster behind.
Can't you put the bowcaster in your Wookiee pocket, or no?
Sure, if the DM says, "Yeah, I'll bring both of them." Why not?
Please,
Well,
I
think you have the encumbrance to carry them both if you want to, but you don't.
Then I will.
Okay.
And I do offer him my my combat giant missile that I haven't used yet.
So in one hand, right, he's got this massive assault cannon. He's got the vibro axe over his shoulder and a bowcaster, and you're handing him a rocket launcher, and he's like considering it, but then he's like, 2 hands.
I'm gonna run up front real quick. I'm gonna hit open the little glove box, get out my aviator glasses, and put them on him. And then he's good.
You gave him aviator glasses.
That's awesome. Okay, are you
doesn't wanna
taking
get
that? Are you
squint
taking the
lines.
fragmentation missile or no?
I am not. I can't carry that.
Okay.
It actually has a low level of encumbrance.
It has a very sleek profile.
It
You can stick it right in your
weighs a
Wookiee
thing.
pocket.
You can stick it right in your Wookiee pocket it won't stretch it at all.
Currently, I'm at. Wait, let's see. What is my?
You're at 11 out of 14 encumbrance, dude. You're a tank.
What is
You
the
can,
threshold? How much does it weigh?
you're fine encumbrance wise. You could carry it. And
If
be
I
fine.
take it,
Yeah.
sure.
I could think of no one who deserves it more.
They bought that
Sure.
frickin' missile on like the 2nd episode, and it's been gathering dust for this entire campaign.
Tyrus is like.
Tyrus
yes,
is a
I did.
combat dimwit. It just looked pretty.
I guess we're going shopping, the rest of us.
Oh yeah, I
Duh.
left some things on that list. Make sure you get.
Bior,
Walks
could
down the bed.
you, real quick. Bior, could you heal me, because I don't want another incident where I didn't get healed and I end up getting blown up again. I just expect that I'm going to get blown up or shot at before the end of the session. So
And you're getting a Brazilian. Are you okay with Brazilians?
What's a Brazilian?
I'll show you later.
I'll send you a YouTube
I'm
video.
getting one too, so it's fine.
Well,
How
So is Ishvar.
me for this thing? Because I've never worn
There's
makeup
just gonna be a landing strip and a naked Wookiee. It'll be perfect.
Oh,
Jensen's
God.
dolling up as like lipstick and a hairbrush.
Okay, so we're going for an extreme makeover for everyone involved. So I believe that Jolly Slumlord has wear the beauty shop.
Charlie Slumlord.
As a side note, I loved your accent for that guy, and I want to hear him again.
Oh my God! I hope I can remember what I did last time. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Sounded like a
Sounded
Bostonian.
like a Mandalorian.
I just as an aside, I was going for a Bostonian actually, and then when Tyrus said it sounded like a Bronx Shrek, I was like, oh shit.
No, it's the guy that runs the ferry between Belfast and northern Scotland. It's perfect.
Okay. Very good. So, what are we doing now?
Well, I'm just gonna quickly heal Jensa as best I can.
All right. You want to do it with the Force or with your fingers?
Well, if I can use the Force again, I'll do that one.
Yes, you can. Oh,
Wow.
two dark side points. What do you want to use those and tarnish your sterling morality?
Yeah, I'll use those.
All right. So 2 strain, add 2 strain. I'll add 2 conflict, and And we'll flip a force chit. All right, so you can now heal her for
How much did I heal?
3. So you're down to 2 wounds now, and you have no strain. So you're pretty good. You're good. Thank you, Bior.
All right, I've got it adjusted now. Sorry, I was getting texted.
Oh, I forgot to make
Involving
I forgot
Lena.
to make your Healy sound. Here you go.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Boom. Okay, and the night is yours, my dear friends.
Well, before we leave to have the makeover, we need to talk with Kip about what he will be doing while we're gone.
I think I should fix the door.
Oh, good
Always the
point.
practical lad. And the condition of the ship?
The condition of the ship, you did not want to fix. You didn't want to pay the price for fixing the hull trauma. So there's some minor. I'd say the ship is, roughly like 8% damaged or something. It has some minor surface damage, nothing serious, and the back hatch has been jacked open, so he can fix that as well. But the hull threshold, you'd have to fix it surreptitiously because you're notified in Nar Shadaa facilities. Union interests are protected, and you have to pay for Union guys to fix it.
I suggest, out of character, we find out whoever's turf this starport lays in, they're paying for the repairs to the ship after we go get all.
Oh, point well taken. This is supposed to be under security.
Good point.
You can take that up with the dockmaster.
We'll have to go pay a visit to that droid and his sidekick that we intimidated.
So is that something Ishwar could do on his way?
He's not stopping for that.
I figure we'll do it on our way back. Swinging the arm of some droid at him and saying, "Arr!"
Yeah, I can beat the guy with that droid's arm. He would do that.
I'll beat you to death with your own leg. So, Jensa and Bior and I are heading out. Kip has a project, including developing the plan. Can he continue to do rolls and checks for developing the plan against Craig?
Is Kip staying here alone on the ship?
That's the question.
He has Remus.
Kip, do you have any way of rigging any sort of defenses or booby traps if anyone were to try to break in?
Kip has a disturbing smile that doesn't reach his eyes and says, yes.
But will you let us back in the ship?
He takes him a while to say yes, but he eventually says yes.
I'd like to do an influence power check, please.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
worried
Okay,
about
roll.
Kip. I just kind of look at Tyrus because we had just had a conversation about being concerned about Kip going dark side on.
Tyrus, roll your roll your force rating.
Kip is totally capable of taking care of himself. What's the problem here, you guys?
Okay, so you get 1 light side, 1 dark side point. You can either send vague emotions, or if you want to use that dark side point, you can attempt a control discipline versus discipline force check to change his emotional state or believe something false.
I would like to do a discipline against discipline check, please.
Okay, we'll be flipping a destiny point and adding 1 conflict and 1 strain. Roll your discipline, and Kip's discipline is
Non-existent.
Kip's discipline is going to be 2 red dice for you to roll against, actually. The
One moment,
difficulty
please.
of your check is 2 red dice.
Oh man, we have some inner party force skills going on.
Ooh, okay, so he rolled 2
Boom.
success and 2 advantage. It's up to you how to use those 2 advantage. The 2 success, you are able to now tell us what belief you are instilling in Kip.
I sense Kip's attraction to the power, the control of suddenly being able to be in charge and to be successful when in the past he's been merely the puppet of other people, and his anger is fueling the darkness that's extending within him. And I reach out to him among this group, the group that has been from the dumpster fire planet to this moment, and I reinforce with him, this is your family. These are the people that will lead you forward.
And not to be a rules Nazi, but given that you turned a dark side point to fuel this ability, it has to be tainted with something of darkness, the belief that you instill.
Fear. I'm instilling the fear that if he gives in to the dark impulses, that this family will be destroyed.
Kippen, you would feel this intrusion upon you in a way. You would not necessarily be conscious that he's doing it to you at this moment, but you would feel exactly what he's conveying to you.
Okay.
Incepted.
Okay.
And
Damn teenagers.
Tyrus, is this readily discernible to your colleagues that you did this just now?
I think that on some level, either by expression or demeanor, as they see I'm looking towards Kip with both a sense of control and a sense of pity, of seeing someone who's tumbling down a deep hole, that they realize that I'm doing something, and they're all a bit shocked and a bit worried that I'm going to somehow use the giant forehead against them. But then they realize by the look on Kip's face, I'm not hurting him, I'm just trying to impart information. And I think they sense that it's meant for keeping us together and not letting things split apart. Everyone has been concerned about Kip's disconcerting smile, his secretiveness, he's turning inward, dark impulses.
And Kip, what is your externally visible reaction to all this?
We don't know what's going on, right?
Not directly.
Not directly, no.
There's a moment where there's just something flickers behind Kip's eyes, but he was mind fucked.
Not mind fucked, mind caressed.
Lovingly mind fingered.
and then Tyrus finally says,
Not PC jokes there.
I know, it could go many bad ways yet.
Don't worry, I'll
Too
bleep
soon.
this out later.
I was about to say.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna say, hey guys, we're going to, what salon are we going to, Tyrus?
Well, before we leave, I just turn to Kip and look at him as someone who clearly has not been an easy truster of other people and say, Kip, there is another way. So Jolly has told us the address of both the best salon and the best men and women's store, and we have to truly set a stunning example. Jolly, fortunately, apparently has an account.
So yes, you first make your way to Humbrick's Haberdashery, where you are able to purchase appropriate evening attire. I, of course, will allow you to roleplay that if you would like, or I can just say that it happened to save time. It's up to you guys. It will cost
Haberdashery,
you...
not verbal.
What's that?
Sorry, just saying haberdashery is not a good verbal medium.
No, okay. So it'll cost you a net of 800 credits to get people an appropriate attire for this evening.
A small investment.
Which I will trust, Tyrus, you will adjust your group account for that amount. And you have purchased stunning evening wear for Bior and Jensa. And I guess Ishwar won't need it. So actually it's only 600.
You'll have to describe to me what Tyrus picks out for Jensa, because Jensa is absolutely clueless in the dress department. Like,
Yeah, I don't think Jensa's ever worn anything like this, Tyrus. So you're gonna have to
because
narrate.
what is it, risk of like in inviting sexual attack? I was like a freaking kid on a freighter.
Jen's attire would be both feminine, but also slightly battle. There would be a long velvet tunic and a silk that would shine with each movement, slightly pleated, building to a deep V, and yet shoulders that suggest armor.
Nice, Tyrus.
Reference Emma
Dude,
Stone's
dude.
Oscar dress.
But before
Emma Stone's
I
Oscar
catch
dress
up,
in
I
green.
am gonna stay for a second to talk to Kip. 'Cause I don't know what happened with him and Tyrus. I don't know anything happened. But I'm gonna, when we're alone, I'm just gonna look at Kip and say, "Do you want to be here with us?"
You're my family. I want to keep you safe.
Said Damien.
I know.
I don't think this is a place to have a deeper the moment to have a deeper conversation about this, Kip, but
I was in a very similar situation to you when I was your age, and I do know what you're going through. And I don't want you to feel like you have to be with us, or you have to be here if you don't, and your fate is in your own hands. But I do know what it's like to be in the shoes you're in now. And I know what sort of things that you have probably encountered in your time in captivity. And I just want you to know that you aren't alone, and you can talk to us.
Okay.
All right, and I'm gonna leave because I don't think there's any point in like having a deep conversation at this moment. I don't think Kip's gonna be receptive until he wants to come around. So, but I'm gonna jog and catch up, and then like stand there and like go, as Tyrus like holds dresses up to me.
But just as our aside in the, is it too red, is it too green, I turn to Jens and say, you're about to enter a different kind of arena, my girl. One in which you're going to be weaponizing glamour. This is a projection of power. This isn't a look, this isn't femininity, this is a tiger. And I show her the dress. We have a droid whip her hair back into a chignon of flaming red, armed and ready to go.
So as Tyrus has guided you through your crash course in carrying yourself through the dangers of high society functions, you leave Humbrecht's haberdashery and then the chic Sleekly salon, and you look stunning, Jensa. And although you're probably slightly uncomfortable in your own skin at the moment in
Yes.
this, you see eyes on the street regarding you in a way that you're not used to. A combination of appreciation and perhaps desire, and you feel strangely the center of focus as you walk down the street.
Hey, I'm going to try to not be afraid, because I had that interesting interaction with a ghost of my childhood earlier. I'm going to try to suck it up. I think her instinct would be to like pull her arms around herself and like lower her head and go slink off somewhere. But she's going to not do that. Instead, I'm going to try to be confident and remember what I was told by that ghost from my past. So I don't know if you want me to make a.
I would want you to make a cool check, actually.
Discipline.
It'll be a cool check, and it's going to be average difficulty.
I'm going to try. I'm going to use a force dice for this.
Okay. Destiny point.
It's a big deal. She thinks it's a big deal to save Viktor, and I need to be able to play the part for the casino, and this is what I'm gonna have to deal with.
All right, so remember to hit the upgrade green plus when you make the roll.
Oh, I
All
forgot
right.
to throw in the desk. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so you
So
rolled a
I have
success and a threat.
but I've gained a stalker.
So actually, This represents your first internal mental practice at containing your id, or your momentary impulses that you have of panic and fleeing and self-preservation, and the tools that you've used your entire life to survive. You're having to learn a new tool set now. And this is your first successful practice of this tool set, and that is fortitude, composure, centering, and peace. And given your success in this moment, on your next forced discipline check, you will get 2 boost dice. So you may want to make note of that somewhere. That applies only to you, representing your internal practice of these techniques. And you manage to calm yourself, and perhaps even, for a moment, maybe slightly, when the fear is removed, maybe enjoy the attention, perhaps? As this is the first time that you walk in a commanding presence in a crowd instead of trying to blend in invisibly.
Where can I make notes?
My screen is different than yours, so I don't know if it's called notes or...
No, I found it.
Yeah, it
It's
should be on the
called
side.
notes.
You should be able to right-click
the-
and create a new entry.
You also have the other tab in your character sheet if you want to do personal.
Are we still in the menswear district?
You could be. We haven't specified where you moved out.
Before we leave, we do have Bayor, because I need Bayor to look the part.
Yes, and Bayor needs to impress in his own specific way, so... how are you going to assist Bayor in his attire and dress? And Bayor, do you need assistance?
Well, I've worked with a couple of pretty high-powered people in the past, so I got the garb situation down.
With the goat kip major?
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, the pop
Ooh, I
collar is going to
forgot.
have to come off for this, but... So,
Getting him a outfit
You
appropriate
lose
pipe.
all defense bonuses if the pop collar comes off.
Bayor, how do you envision your black tie version of yourself?
Something traditional to Miriellan culture, sleek, maybe like a tail kind of jacket, and sleek, nice trim tapered legs, and sleeveless because I gotta show the tat.
I see a cutaway, almost a morning coat that would be tight against the body, down into a long tail. It would show an almost militaristic body draped by heroic lines, but because you're a badass, no sleeves and boots.
Gotta show off those Maori tattoos.
And I do say to Bayor, you're about to enter a challenging world. Your look is your armor. Your gaze is your weapon. Say nothing.
GM question to my casino attendees. Are you bringing your weapons?
We have secret pockets.
I am, yes. I'm taking my lightsaber.
The saber? Really? That seems like... I'm bringing the gun. I'm doing the thigh holster thing. My dragon dress has room for a thigh holster, it looks like.
Not much, but yes.
It's a holdout blaster, so give her that. I'm just kidding.
It's more of a
It's a little
cleavage
one.
blaster
It's a
at this
little
point.
gun.
Okay, so in your
Oh,
tuxedo.
I could put it in my cleavage, and I could reach through my giant shoulder holes. And
You've heard of the Wookiee pocket, now the Genta pocket.
Oh god.
I did spend an entire session with a lightsaber between my butt cheeks because I almost failed. I generated threat with a successful skullduggery
Sounds
check
like
to
my
hide
20s.
it. Yeah.
Okay, so Bayor and Tyrus are bringing your lightsabers and concealing them in your black tie attire. By the way, you do not get your bonuses because your armor is not on. So You'll just be concealing these, and Jensa is concealing a small blaster in her dress somewhere. And are we proceeding to the casino at the moment, or any stops on the way?
Let's think this through. Is there anything else we need before we go to the casino?
Stim packs.
Well, Jensa, what's your status?
My husband just walked in the door.
I believe that's married.
Hashtag Stimpack.
I am only down 2, but we need to buy more stim packs. So while we're out doing all this other shopping, Albie, can we buy stim packs for the group? Since
If you guys
easily.
run into and also, I need some stim packs on the way.
Also, if we're walking by an armor shop and we can pick up any armor from my ridiculous robes, that would be great. But we want to do it in a hurry. We have a meeting and it's soon.
There is a place called High Tech Hotwares where you can get basic gear and stuff, and you'd be able to buy stim packs there if you would like.
I have no money. Tyrus has all the money.
We have money, honey. Don't worry.
How much?
They only,
I guess.
they're only going to cost you 50 credits each, so you can buy as many as you need.
I'd like 10, please.
Okay,
would
so
like-
Tyrus.
10 as well.
All right, so we'll buy 10 and 10. So 1,000 credits, Tyrus, deduct from your total, and we'll add those to your respective.
Are these like community stim packs that we're buying?
I will
Of
definitely
course.
toss them to you if you need one.
Okay, sweet.
But also
we've got 20. Let's have right now.
There, I've added them to your inventories. There's 10 to Jensa, 10 to Tyrus.
Are there any other useful things at the store that can get basic supplies?
What basic supplies would you be looking for?
Be right back.
Good question. Okay, crew, anything else you can think of?
Yeah, so before all this started last session, I gave 2,000 credits to Jensa to buy. There was a mod that I needed.
Serrated Edge?
The Serrated Edge, that's
I
only
remember
50
Serrated
credits. I also asked them, to buy me a shield. I asked for a Kratosis shield. That was I think 1,000 credits, and then give or take, I'll look it up here in a second. I think it's 900 actually. And then I gave her 500 credits for spare parts to craft things at the
Well, just so you know, spare parts are not things you could purchase in a place like this. They're kind of salvaged from other gear that you find.
Okay, well, crafting materials, can we purchase something like that? If
No,
not, then
not
just
in
bring
this.
that money back.
Not in this region. No, this is mostly sort of storefront.
It's a
gear.
boutique.
Goods.
Yeah.
Is there anything on Kip's list of things that he needed that we could purchase in this environment?
Kim was stim packs. He would like, I guess, again, this goes back to spare parts though. He would like schematics, if you can buy schematics for an energy dispersion system for armor.
Okay. I have that pulled up. By the way, the only thing I'm having trouble locating, the Cortosis shield. What is that? Is that an armor piece or what?
It is
weapon?
considered a melee weapon, but it's in it's in the core book of.
I found it. Cortosis shield. Okay.
Yeah. So Albie, I've come to realize that they seem to categorize all shields as melee weapons because you can do a shield bash. That's what it seems like to me.
Okay, so what we're gonna do for buying items, the way it works is if you're buying legal items, You have to make a negotiation check to see if it's available in the store. If you're buying black market items, it's a streetwise check. Everything you're buying is non-restricted, so it's negotiation check. Now I'll tell you right up front, serrated edge is in every store. It's a rarity of 1. It's common as dirt.
50 credits.
Actually the price here is 100 credits.
I do have a negotiation level of 2, and I get extra bonuses when I can use a force check to influence.
Feel free to make a negotiation check if you'd like. Average difficulty. If you want to barter. I mean, not barter, but bargain. All right, the shopkeeper is not impressed. And he says, 100 credits, man. Are you this poor that you can't afford this? I mean, come on. Serrated edge. You can go buy that at the local gas station over there.
Maybe I will.
Given that I don't want to put my finger in his ear and touch his brain, I'm just going to pay the 100 credit.
Okay, so please deduct that from your total, and I will add a serrated edge to Ishwar's inventory, and when you have time later, you can attach it to your item. Well, what do you want to attach it to, by the way?
Oh, it's going to be going onto my vibro axe, of course.
His Wookiee blaster, of course.
Attachments.
Oh, it only goes on melee weapons.
I know, that was a joke.
I mean,
Serrated edge I have added to your vibro axe. So that means that you have now vicious quality as +10 to critical injury rolls. It already had vicious quality, right?
yeah, so it's vicious 4 now.
Aw, she. Vicious 4. So basically you are going to cut people in twain with this bad boy. Alright, so it's vicious 4 now. I have adjusted that. You now have it. Okay, so next item, energy dispersion system. It's a rarity of 4, so whoever would like to make the negotiation check, it is going to be an easy negotiation check to see if he has it in the store. Roll it when you are ready.
Oh,
This is
he's not.
this
He's
is
away
a
from
Tyrus
his.
thing.
This is a Tyrus
He's
thing.
away from his.
I mean,
Yeah, he's
I can
from BRB.
charm. I can charm since he's AFK. I will charm. I will attempt to be charmed.
No, just let him roll it when he comes back.
All right, when he comes back, we'll roll for those items. We have to roll for 3 items basically to see if they have it in the store.
Boo! See, that would have been awesome.
But it's not opposed.
Well,
I
you've
know.
charmed me with your attempt. How's that?
There you go.
Kip, do you want to do anything while you're sitting in the ship?
Oh, no, I'm like literally working with Remus to fix the data breach that allowed them to easily basically open up the errant secret as if it were, as if they had a can opener.
Okay. So you're just trying to repair the intrusion, basically.
Right, yeah, not the whole damage, because I understand that's a whole big shebang.
Yeah, go ahead and make an average mechanics check, please.
Okay. That's 2, right?
It is 2.
Albie, while we're out, I am going to. Jensen's going to get some things that she would have appreciated that somebody would have maybe gotten for her when she was hitchhiking her way through space as a, from the age of
I won't use the dark side point though.
8 to 18.
Actually, no. Kip will use that dark side point.
Oh.
He's feeling. He doesn't understand why, but he's filled with rage.
Okay, so add a strain. I added a conflict.
Puberty.
I was about to say the same thing.
Giant forehead.
And Kip, you get to add that as an extra success. So you are able to fix within about 30 minutes the system intrusion. without difficulty, and you understand exactly how they did it as well. Basically, they used a circuit hijack to confuse the system with a rotating code that basically short-circuited the security protocol and caused it to fail.
Okay, so can I use one of the extra successes to help with a computer check to sort of inoculate ourselves against that same type of attack?
Yeah, so I would, keeping the same difficulty, an average difficulty, you can add 1 boost dice. You're going to try and protect the ship against future intrusions of the same style.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, go ahead and roll that.
This is a computer check, or I'm assuming?
That is going to be computer's check.
2 difficulty, right?
Yes.
But Albie, I've got 25 credits. I want to pick up Kip, like a warm blanket because space is cold, like socks, underwear, like care
like
stuff.
a care package. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so
credits
Rice Krispie treats, the usual.
you're able
What
to
age? 16?
you're able to put
Space
together
porn.
a nice little basket.
Please just
of-
get him some Kleenex.
I just heard.
Go.
Get him a bunch of socks.
Jinza was Kip when she was a teenager.
And
is cold.
sanitizer.
You're able to
And then
put
just
together
get
a nice little care package with some assorted like mints and candies and a blanket and some like little comfort items that you put into a basket. Yeah.
If you get gummy things, Kip will you will discover that Kip has a fondness for gummy bears. Anyway,
There you go. I
but
will get him
I rolled the 2
gummy
successes
Wookiees.
for the
A little
computer.
bag of gummy Wookiees.
Yes, gummy whoopies.
Swedish Aqualish. No, I'm just kidding. So you put together a basket. Kip, you are able to create an anti-intrusion system for the same type of to ward against the same type of intrusion system. So the next
Right,
time
yeah.
somebody attempts to make a check like that, they will have 2 setback dice.
Okay, I will make a note of that.
Please do.
I will call that a rotating code or something.
Yeah, that was a rotating code intrusion that they used against you. And Tyrus, you need to make me a few negotiation checks, please. First, you are going to be making a easy negotiation check to start with to look for energy dispersion system.
That's 2 purple, correct?
Nope, 1. Okay, so the store clerk basically pulls out for you in a beautiful sort of box this energy dispersion system, and we can actually put that in your inventory. It will cost you 1,000 credits.
Got it.
Please deduct the credits for me.
Space accountant.
Kip, I'm having trouble adding it at the moment. Will you just remember that I have to add that to you later?
Add
It
what?
somehow came up on my screen. I don't know why.
Energy dispersion system?
Correct.
Oh, I'll put it in my notes.
Yeah. Okay, so Cortosis Weave is a extremely rare item, so that is a rarity of 8, so that is going to be a hard negotiation check, Tyrus.
What's this stuff for?
So when you're trying to buy things in a store, everything has a rarity scale depending on how rare it is in general, and the way that you roll to see if it's available is using negotiation if it's a legal item, and streetwise if it's an illegal item.
Wait, are you rolling for the shield?
He's rolling for Cortosis Shield. Sorry.
So rarity of 7.
Rarity of 7, still 3 purple dice.
And what's the cost?
It's not about cost, it's just seeing if he even has it in the store.
The reason I ask is I can, again, because it's a different turn, reuse my force influence check on.
Oh, okay, you'd make a separate roll for that after. We're just seeing if he even has it in stock. And he does. The 2 setback dice, unfortunately, mean you're getting 2... the 2 threat mean you're getting 2 setback dice on any subsequent roll to negotiate pricing. He has a Cortosis Shield, a very rare item. it basically...
Who's the shield for?
Ishwar asked for it. It is big and cumbersome, but it basically protects against any sundering items like lightsabers, and it is extremely boosting to your defenses. And the clerk basically says that he only has one left in stock. We don't get these very often. They go right off the shelf when we get them. It's going to cost you 1,800.
I'd like to negotiate that price.
Okay, go ahead and make a hard negotiation check, and you have to add 2 black dice to that.
Do I get my force dice?
Yes, because you now have that talent that force upgrade that allows you to use influence. Okay, this is super interesting. Okay, so you rolled a failure, 3 threat, 2 light side, 1 dark side, and a triumph. So let's dissect this. On the surface, you fail, except for the fact you can use your 2 light side points and influence to turn them into successes. So you succeed. You don't need to use the dark side point. You got 3 threat. So this guy's irritated with your hand waving that suddenly makes him confused, and he feels as if somehow he's been hoodwinked, and is kind of irritated with you. However, given your triumph with the success, you actually managed to negotiate him down to wholesale price, and you get it for 900.
Whoa! You talk the talk.
And then the guy's like, "Oh fuck, I have a migraine. I need to go get some water." And he walks out into the back room. So deduct.
Since so needs armor, it is terrible, guys. Just
I've deducted 900.
And I am transferring a Cortosis shield to your inventory.
Done.
Good. You have done your shopping.
Did we find any? That's everything we could get legally, correct?
That is, yeah. If there's anything else you're looking for, now's a good time to let me know.
Yeah, actually,
Jinsa has
I won't be able to
armor.
get it here, but Ishwar gave the remaining, like, the $2,000 that he gave was for the spare parts, the Katosha shield, that mod, and then if you could find data spikes for Viktor,
No, we do need.
that was it.
And how about hand grenades? Do we need hand grenades?
I need armor.
So the guy's in the back room medicating his migraine, but you can see on the shelf there are data spikes. They're marked in a restricted area. It's kind of like that section of the video store that you're not supposed to walk into as a kid that has like all those little like covers over everything. Yeah, so
For our younger listeners, videos are a format where we used to rewind.
Be kind, please rewind.
But they were always sticky.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, you find some sticky data spikes behind the counter. You can wait for him to come back, or you can try and take them.
Is that skullduggery or any other sort of skill to kind of slip them into our pocket?
You would make a skullduggery check, yes.
I have skullduggery. Because I've just put my finger in his skull, I can do skullduggery.
You would make an
we want to
average
get a Joel
skullduggery
this
check,
time?
and you get a boost dice because he's in the other room.
Is that 2 or 3 purple?
2 purple, 1 boost.
Do we want to get in trouble in this time?
Okay, so as you're reaching forward to take it, he walks out and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And you kind of are able with your 3 advantage to kind of pass it off. You're like, "Oh, I think I dropped a credit stick down there. Could you pick that up for me?" And he walks over and he looks at you kind of like mistrustfully for a second. And he's like, "There's no credit stick on the floor." And you say, "Oh, my mistake." And he's standing there with his arms crossed now, just staring at you guys.
So now can we negotiate the price on the data sticks? The
Can I negotiate the price on the item I was just trying to rob you of?
I wasn't robbing you, I was picking up my data stick. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, so he's like, "If you want some damn data spikes, just give me the money."
How much?
He doesn't answer for like a good 10 seconds as he's just staring at you, trying to figure out what your deal is. And he says, 500 credits each.
Negotiate.
You're going to add 2 setback dice to this roll. It is going to be an average negotiation. All right. So he says, fine, 200 credits each.
We should take 5.
All right. So
Unless
go ahead.
anyone wants to suggest we take more, what do you think?
Oh, that's way more than enough, I think. He's got a good hacking skill, but those are for, like, speedy.
Viktor seemed to use them like rainwater, so that's why I thought of that number.
He did seem to use them pretty often.
And I do have a title to a small house on a lake that no one's been able to crack yet.
By the way, Tyrus, deduct
Keep in mind you're
1,000
spending
credits,
Ishwar's
please.
cash.
Please, already done, please. What are we
All
in
right.
the tropics? I've already had all these things.
Okay, so you have pissed off the shop clerk adequately and gotten everything you needed.
And we've all had our makeovers, correct? So we're ready to head to the casino? Is there anything else we haven't done in this set? Other than Lito's picking up hookers, I don't know what that's all about.
By the way, as you guys wrap up your shopping, I'm going to go to...
Actually, I want to talk to Bior and Tyrus while we're alone.
Okay.
I'm gonna look at Bior and Tyrus and go, so, Kip, thoughts?
You coddle him.
Nice.
Ooh, yeah.
You're gonna turn him gay.
Do you think I should, like, hit him, Bior? I mean, I'm worried that he's going down a dark path.
I don't think he's gonna do that. And he's more capable than you guys give him credit for. He's
He's extremely capable, but he's also... I've been the kid that was, like, flung from one crappy captain to another, and there's a lot of abuse that go on these freighters, guys. You know, I can't imagine that he's not damaged by what happened to him. You know, you've had a conversation with him. There's something off. I'm worried about him, and I don't know.
I mean, the worrying isn't gonna do anything. We just have to. I mean, really, if we're worried, all we can do is keep an eye on him.
All right, I think you're right. I don't know. They got him some stuff. Stuff I wished people would, have gotten me. It's stuff I had wanted when I was cold and hungry and lost in space.
Not for nothing, but I think he would have been happier with, like, parts.
I think that's the kind of stuff that everybody normally gives him, like, and teenagers don't think to buy socks.
So now I turn to Jensa and Bior, and Tyrus has a look of strain on his face. He knows he's heading into something he would just as soon not have to head into. He doesn't quite yet know how to trust the 2 people with him, but he realizes that's really his only shot. So he says to them, "Where I'm about to take you will seem on its surface to be genial, even enjoyable. I need for the 2 of you to keep on high alert. The stiletto will barely slip from the hand before it stabs you in the ribs. The people in this room are not to be trusted."
Albie, can I focus on the future briefly?
Yes, if you'd like to use your 4C, you can roll...
Can we... I just kind of hold up a hand to Tyrus and say, can we step into a corner for a second and just, if my face looks weird, keep me from being seen?
Yeah, I will remind you are standing in the middle of the store, so...
Yeah.
He's got a headache. He's gone.
There's a ladies' room, right?
Yes.
Somewhere around here? Okay, I'm going to excuse myself.
What's the picture on the door?
To the water closet.
It's just a triangle. That's all.
Oh,
It just says,
Oh,
For the
jeez.
men, it's a radiation symbol. For the ladies, it's a triangle. It's fine.
Do they even have? I think there's such a diversity of race and gender in Star Wars universe that it would probably just be a universal bathroom.
One
Let's
diversity
just
of
hope in
penises.
the, let's hope in the
face
future
facts.
that there's like a kids bathroom and a bathroom for adults, and that's it. That's what
Let's say in this
It's a
region of
hole in
Nar
the universe.
Shadaa,
That's it.
which caters to the upper crust of culture, there would be very finely appointed private bathroom stalls that are single-person units.
There you go.
And they would
Do they have a
poof.
tendency that you have to tip because they gave you like a paper towel?
There's an Andalorian with a car.
Yeah, there's a Zabrak with a little valet cap standing there expecting a tip, but no, just kidding. So Jen said,
I'm going in the bathroom. I'm going into the bathroom. I'm shutting the door. I'm locking the door. And I am sitting down on the toilet, and I am thinking about this
and regretting that burrito.
immediate
No, I'm
future
just
with
kidding.
Tyrus. I'm thinking of the immediate, in case I fall over or something, because I've been known to like
In
faint.
your world, a Louis Keane settee is a toilet. That's fine.
Okay, so as you find a moment of quiet and privacy, I'd like you to roll your force rating for me, please.
Not all of us can afford fancy potties, Scott.
And you roll 2 light side force points. So,
Yeah.
Jensen, I'd like to know the basic power uses one of those pips to reveal vague hints of the user's near future up to a day in advance. You can use the second pip to upgrade, either pick a specific detail, look an additional day in advance, or increase the range. The range is, let's say the range is currently, well, the base range is engaged. So if you're kind of looking to something out further away, tell me what it is you'd like to see, and I can tell you what you should use this for.
I want to foresee specifically on this casino event in as much detail as I can.
Okay,
As
so
to pitfalls in our immediate future.
as you close your eyes and quiet yourself, you begin to see a flash, almost like those sort of animated kind of that little spinny toy where you can look through and see sort of animated images kind of flip by, like flashes of single images that pass by, and you see for a moment an obsequious man with a penciled mustache, and it flashes by in a moment. You see images of a red-skinned gentleman with perfectly coiffed hair sitting at a card table. You see an image of a droid, rather menacing in his appearance, with 6 arms, with sort of sleek obsidian black shiny chassis. And you get a view of laughter and people and noise, and the din of it becomes so overwhelming to you that you kind of feel a wave of nausea for a moment. And suddenly, the last image you see is a Mune woman, stunning, elegant, tall.
Very big forehead.
Yes, but angled backwards in an elegant and beautiful way. Unlike many Mune who come across looking harsh and kind of angular, she's kind of graceful and beautiful. And she is glaring at you with her icy eyes. And you feel extremely cold for a moment, and then you suddenly flash back to the bathroom stall. And you've accidentally stepped into the toilet, so your foot is kind of standing in there. And the other foot is on the ground. And unfortunately, the person...
I sat on the potty. I did say I sat on the potty.
I
Had
think
my
you...
foot get-
What probably happened is you tried to stand up and step backwards, but you forgot where you were.
Yeah, this is why I sat down. Next time, toilet seat down. I remind myself. I'm going to wash my foot in the sink.
Okay.
Because
Did
she's a
someone walk
classy
in?
lady.
And the
It's a
super ratchet.
single-person stalled bathroom, so I can wash my foot in the sink. And I am going to dab my shoe dry with some papers, and I'm gonna hold it under the air jet blower thingy. Except we're in Star Wars, so I assume those hand sanitizer dryer things are really good to dry.
Don't
Yeah, they're
forget
sort of
there's-
like
there's-
instant infrared dryers.
There's
Yeah.
one of those
Space
space
hobo.
fly bartenders there to take your dollar and give you a little wipey cloth. It's fine.
He buffs
Well, I
your
just
foot
spent all
with
my
a
money
cloth.
on Kif, so yeah.
And gum.
And did I get any sense from any of the individuals I saw as being malignant, or just her?
The droid made you uncomfortable.
Okay,
As all droids tend to be, apparently.
but I didn't get any specific
Dismantle
like
them
we're
all.
gonna get shot at in the near future.
No,
at
you
least.
saw no overt violent activity, but as Tyrus had
Okay.
described, you feel sort of a Shark Tank of deceptively pleasant outward appearance, but
When I come out, I'm gonna describe us. I saw a red-skinned individual, well-coiffed hair. I saw a robot that made me uneasy with 6 arms, and I kind of like pointedly look at Bioware like I got a weird feeling about that guy. Droid with 6 arms. Bioware, we need to watch that dude. There was
Yeah,
a fellow with a pencil-thin mustache that I didn't get any. We're going to encounter him, and I look at Tyrus. I say, "Immune woman, very beautiful, and she is malicious, and has malcontent for us. She means death for us, or you probably." And I just
Tyrus's eyes narrow to a slit, and you see him stand up in the way that you would take a deep breath, knowing that you're about to face something that may not end well. I think it's time that we met our Zeltron at the casino. The red guy is a Zeltron. I get it.
I'm not
agree.
gonna push Tyrus to tell us anything, but I'm gonna have his back. So we're gonna do this.
To the Colosseum, my colleagues.
so as you make your way, you have to actually get into a speeder to get to the casino because the entire complex is elevated in the sky on a complex repulsor lift kind of platform. And it is opulent to the extreme. The entire building is glowing and glistening lights. The beams of light pass out from the roof in all directions, just broadcasting to the night sky that this is a place where the wealthy and privileged play. And as your speeder makes its way towards the platform, you can see that people disembarking from their vehicles are dressed to the nines. These are the elite of society who, beneath their elegant shoes and fine clothes elevated up in the heavens of Nar Shadaa, they give no thought to the impoverished and pathetic individuals that are living beneath them in the underlayers of this planet. And as you approach the building, you see in glistening holographic lights the name, the Kyno Grande. And as you approach the casino, the speeder parks itself and you disembark. And Tyrus, as you walk in, you look to the landing pad to the left and you see an extremely elegant, rare make starship, originally a scout ship in design that has a very dark, kind of tungsten colored hull that's gleaming, just shined as if it's a mirror almost. And you'd recognize that ship, and it makes you uneasy inside.
I'm gonna turn to Bior and say, I know that you are a child of light. I know that you have tried to maintain a sense of balance, but I may need you to tap into the dark force of harm. We're going to encounter people here that are beyond the reach of light or dark. We may have to use extraordinary measures. Is this something that you can do?
Tyrus, I'll do whatever we need to do to get out of this in one piece. But you look like you've seen a ghost.
Not yet, Bayor, but no matter what happens to me, no matter the outcome, you have to protect our team and our crew. No matter what happens to me, please use your forces for good, for dark, but don't let them win.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to ruin the dramatic moment of the scene, but when you almost called him boy, I got this image of like Candyland or something. Like, no boy.
I believe I called him my good man once, and that didn't go well.
You're like Calvin Candy for a moment.
Tyrus is clearly fighting, and he has never had the ability to connect to other people as equals that weren't competitors. Tyrus is clearly conflicted, and he's not quite sure what to do, but he realizes his only future forward is if he doesn't trust these people. Even if he does trust these people, this encounter may not end well.
Look, we're all socially awkward people due to our mutually shared backgrounds. Because of why we're together is also why we're all socially awkward, so
Tyrus is
it'll be okay.
Just gonna raise an eyebrow and say to Jensa, you're about to encounter socially awkward people.
And as you walk up to the casino entrance, the grand doors are opened for you because you're not meant to touch the handles yourselves. The attendants open the door, and as you gaze inside and walk into the lobby, you are greeted by a supremely appointed space, very crowded, many hundreds of people here, spread across the widely spaced interior. You have hundreds of aliens, various races, magnates of business, captains of industry, all in black tie. There are game tables spread out before you in a recessed, kind of down-stepping kind of central area. You have many Hintaro dice tables. You have various card games, including Pazak and Sabak. You have De La Torche, which is a version of roulette type of game they play. You have a small orchestra and a pianist. There's bartenders. There's sort of various staff members walking around seeing if anyone can assist. And suddenly, as you walk through the door, you're greeted by a human, probably about 5'6", a bit on the shorter side, has a very, very fine, over-exaggerated pencil mustache. And he walks up to you and sweeps his arm out in an overly grand gesture and bows obsequiously. And he says to you, "Welcome to the Kyno Grande. Whom may I say is joining us this evening?"
I'm just going to smile
Tyrus.
with like eye candy.
Tyrus waves his hand and say, "Away from me, good man," and walks forward with Bayor and Jensa in his wake and just turns to each of them and says, "Remember, tits up. You too, Jensa."
And as you pass the gentleman with the mustache, he smiles a little bit and snaps his fingers, and a few gentlemen from the sides come in, kind of oversized guards, a few Nikto and Hook, and they walk up and block your path. And he walks up again and nods to you and says, "I think we got off to the wrong start. Welcome to the Kyno Grande."
Time for a coercion check.
I kind of I didn't get a bad vibe from this guy, right?
No.
Not
I
yet.
kind of just put my arm in the nook of, or I kind of take Tyrus's arm gently, just as kind of like a calming gesture, I guess, to kind of steal him. But I don't say anything. I'm not gonna step on Tyrus's parade here. I don't know what we're dealing with, so.
And he kind of makes like a little pleasant fake smile and cocks his head to the side. And he says, "My name is Gustav, and I'm here to welcome you to probably the finest casino this side of the Nar Shadaa Glitzway. Here, we can get you whatever luxuries you desire. Games, companionship, spice, entertainments of all sorts. The limit is your imagination and your bank account. I couldn't help but notice by your protuberant forehead, are you, Tyrus VonDonner by any chance?"
Get away from me, you presumptuous fool. How dare you not remember me?
Ah, you're so cute. Yes, I, couldn't help but notice you happen to be standing in a place that the VonDonner clan seems to frequent relatively often. How is your father, by the way?
You obsequious little toad. I have business with Glabo. Don't waste my time.
Oh, yes, I see how easily you threw around the name of our fine benefactor here at the Del Kyno Grande, and he always like obnoxiously draws out the name of the facility. As much as I hate to bring up uncomfortable subject matter, you see, your father, he's been a frequent guest of our casino and has run up something of a tab. And, it's not been paid yet, and I'm afraid we'll have to settle that little arrangement before you can enjoy the facility, you understand?
And I just look at him with a dead-eyed stare. A tab?
Of course, we give him advances when he needs it, but we haven't seen him in, 6 months? How is your lovely father? We miss him here. And the two, guards kind of muscle in a little closer to you guys.
Tyrus draws his energy in and lowers his massive forehead at this little obsequious pip and says, "Obviously, you've not kept up on latest events. My father is no longer with us."
And he kind of pulls his little handkerchief out of his pocket, his sort of breast pocket, and he covers his mouth with it in this overly, ridiculously dramatic gesture. And he's like, oh, that's dreadful. What a legendary man he was. I'm so sorry for your loss. And he flicks his hand to the side, and you see a guy come out with a ledger, and he says, "By my accounting, something around the realm of 5,000 credits should set us even, and we could move on with the enjoyment of the evening." You understand, yes?
Clearly, you've never met Immune before. Do you know my family built this hovel that we're standing in? Do you know who we are? My father's debts are my father's. If you wish to take up with my father, please do so. Please visit the afterworld.
And as he goes to interject, suddenly a bag of credit chips is sort of flung, and it hits him right in the face and, dishevels his sort of ridiculously gelled down hair and kind of sends a quaff of it over to the side. And he looks stunned for a minute, and you hear
Who threw the bag? Because I am definitely paying attention to our surroundings.
you see the woman that you envisioned in your particular force vision walk up and suddenly say, "Oh, Gustav, you rascal, you. How dare you give my brother a hard time? You understand, after his little walkabout, he's rather destitute right now. You can't expect him to pay things like that. I'll settle our father's debts." And Gustav kind of, he missed the bag when it hit him in the face, and credit chips are falling on the floor, and he's just scrambling to pick them up and stuff them back in the bag. And he goes, "Oh, madam, I didn't know you were here. Excuse me. I would like to Announce your arrival. And she kind of rolls her eyes for a minute and says, yes, Gustav, whatever you feel you need to do. And he snaps his hands for a moment, and suddenly the lights kind of go down a little bit, and a droid walks out with a very
Giving
overactive...
Bior the "this must run in the family" look.
sort of very loud vocoder. And he announces, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Her Serene Excellence, the Premier Mandrake of Mune, Couchatta VonDonner Mune de Creon, Lady Crumpington, firstborn of Father Borrel VonDonner Mune. She was Marcissa VonDonner Mune, nay Besenthaupt. And everyone kind of stops gaming and looking around and talking for a moment. And there's just a momentary silence.
As
and then,
Tyrus face palms in a very strong way.
And you see before you this elegant but formidable Mune woman in mid-age. And she's dressed in a skin-tight, glossy gown. Shades of perhaps midnight blue and royal blue which shift in the light. She's long and stunning, and the dress is made by one of perhaps the most prominent fashion houses of the core worlds. And whereas many Mune have harsh features with an awkwardly oblong head shape, hers could be described as graceful, with gentle long lines and soft skin tones. Her head shape, rather than extending out vertically, kind of slopes backward, creating a less striking forehead that is instead perhaps a little alluring. And her skin tone is less pasty white, but rather has suggestion of some cooler blue and purple tones that are just barely discernible. She has kind of almond eyes that are exotic, but belie a calculating intelligence that demands respect. She carries herself kind of with the grace and potential lethality of a panther, and she kind of is something like a cross between the diva of the Fifth Element and Jodie Foster's Delacourt in Elysium. And beside her, you see this dark bipedal gray droid with a masculine frame, kind of almost like to emulate musculature, but has multiple armed appendages. There's 6 arms visible to you. 2 of them terminate in a hand, but the rest have these sort of interchangeable various tools and interface equipment. He has a glossy faceplate with no facial features, except for 2 ocular sensors on the side of the plate. And after this droid kind of walks in front, you see this woman make her way to a table where there is cards being played, and she sits, and there's 2 other card players there, and you see Gustav nervously snap his fingers, and one of the 2 people immediately pull up their chips and vacate the table and walk away. The other guy kind of gives you this F you kind of look, like, who do you think you are? And silently, the droid walks behind, and he places his hand on the man's shoulder, and as he presses his finger, you hear the crushing of bone and blood gout from out of the shoulder, and you see the guy scream out in pain and drop his face down on the table. And as he's pulled away from the chair and crumples to the floor, 2 guards in monkey suits kind of come out, obviously under the employment of the Hutts, and rather quietly pick up the gentleman, stuff a bag over his head, and drag him out of the room. With the table vacant, she looks to you, Tyrus, and gestures to the seat next to her.
A chill, almost seeing a terrible vision radiates down Tyrus's spine. But immediately he realizes that this is a negotiation. This is another exertion of power, and he immediately draws himself up to his full height and says, Couchatta, what a surprise. Aren't you looking well? Here to buy a company, or are you here to pick up some other sort of title? Lady Cushington, is it? Didn't they find the body? Are you still Lady Cushington? I'm awfully confused.
How adorable, Tyrus. Are you done with your little wilderness fugue that you took? So nice of you to leave our family fortune in shambles while you go find yourself. Please, have a seat. You remember 114D, don't you? And the droid kind of regards you with a menacing look as he pulls the chair
that's
back.
the droid.
This is the very same droid that just crushed the guy's shoulder right in front of you guys.
Yeah.
This is clearly a droid that Tyrus remembers in a way that both its history and its actions are terrifying and a threat, but he will not belay any of this in his giant pasty white four-headed face. So he sits down at the table and says, I see you've adopted the Alderaan crown jewels. Clearly a tribute to Mommy. Are we still in mourning? How touching.
By the way, Tyrus, make me an average cool check, please. Okay, so you rolled a success and a threat. So you managed to maintain your composure to even the attempt to throw you off balance with the appearance of 114D and her rather obnoxiously opulent appearance on the scene. You managed to keep a perfectly serene outer expression, and you sit looking completely unaffected. And she turns to you and says, well, thank you for noticing the jewels. Yes, Mummy won't be needing them anymore, will she? Considering, how you detonated her head and all. They look much better on my head than on the dismembered and mangled corpse that I found them on. You remember 114D, don't you? I believe you cleaned up the remains.
Tyrus fires back. Did her head even hit the floor before you took the jewels off? And then he straightens himself and says, clearly, you're remembering another entire reality. Were you there? Is this droid malfunctioning? Are we even in this hovel that you're calling a casino?
Oh, how I've missed you, Tyrus. To have an equal like I used to have. As children, you and I used to help each other survive the lethal environment that we grew up in. Constant maneuvering and machinations between Mummy and Daddy. But you and I, we always had our way together. We navigated the shark tank and came out alive. But I must admit some degree of disappointment in you, brother, that you never lived up to our grand plans for the future that we masterminded as children.
Funny you should mention that, Cushy. You realize when Daddy succumbed to that space syphilis and Mummy's head accidentally imploded that I am head of family.
So you like to make light of this patricide that you involved in?
Patricide. I believe his hooker girlfriend dismembered him with a grapefruit spoon. Am I remembering correctly?
Well, it's amazing how stories can be twisted and altered to sort convenience, but as I recall, you couldn't hack it in the world of political machinations and cunning and had to resort to base murder to get yourself ahead, isn't that right? Very unlike our ways, Tyrus.
Couchatta, you've clearly been listening to the hags at the high forehead polishing salon. I don't know what evidence you have, but it's false. I don't know what accusations you're making, but they're baseless. And frankly, my sister, as head of household, our assets, our considerable assets, were frozen under my control before I left our planet. Are you here simply to annoy me? Your position was clearly defined by Mummy. You were sent away to that finishing school when you failed our battle. You have no position here. You simply have glamour, which, let's face it, is a cheap commodity in the Hutt world.
I'm gonna find
find a waiter passing by and just take a drink, and I'm actually going to drink for the first time since we've started playing. They're just going to take a good sip as I listen to this conversation and pretend I'm not involved in it.
This intimate look into the Tyrus family.
Well, and also setting the scenario, setting the mood, as my sister is in front of me as this impressive vision of elegance. I have behind me the glamazon that is Jensa, with a stern and impassive face, a beautiful but completely impenetrable stare. I have Bior, this emblem of masculinity that my sister is eyeing, but I'll poke her any minute now in her high forehead. And we are there simply to, as brinksmanship, we have nothing to hide. We have nothing to be ashamed of. We are your equals or better because, let's face it, sister, you were sent into servitude.
And she looks up at your two companions and says, Tyrus, I can't decide whether you suddenly take into humans or whether you rather like the male ape you have behind you. I'm not sure what you're into these days. How is that friend of yours? What was his name again? We grew up together, you remember.
Oh, that bit.
Tyrus, for a moment, starts to summon the most dark, uncontrollable force energies that he's ever known. Because he's mentioned Jaren, he's mentioned a topic that has been closed off. And for a moment, he feels the force reaching out of him in a way he can't control. He feels a lash, like a whip, heading directly for this horrible woman, and then realizes that there's a balance of light and dark, and that reaching out in a way that's violent will not advance his growth in any way. He sits back up, he takes a deep breath and says, "So kind of you to mention him."
There it is. There's that rage. I must apologize. I don't mean to malign Jaren. He was a good man, if not a little naive, but he has disappeared from the scene just as you have, and I am left with the wreckage, perhaps you'd like to call it, of a dead set of parents and a shattered family finance. What do you have to say for yourself? I understand, the way I see it, that you proved too feeble and cunning to secure your right position for yourself using your mind and your wits, and so you had to resort to the desperate move of patricide and matricide, and shamed our family, and even worse, jeopardized our assets and our holdings. It appears my only failure against you, brother, was that you sending me away to boarding school only honed my wits and skill to a sharp point, while lassitude and indulgence made you weak.
Couchatta, remember well, I was not the one that sent you to your exile. You and I were only born 11 minutes apart. In fact, the Alderaan jewels that you wear were a bribe to Mummy. She only agreed to have one birth. You are my older sister, never forget.
Yes, perhaps by minutes, but I am still your senior. And I have earned these crown jewels, albeit, yes, I had to take them from Mother's dead head. But they are, for the moment, in my possession. As is
at
this.
That moment,
and she strokes her neck.
At that moment,
and there is a large glowing blue jewel there in a beautiful setting around a pendant. May I also point out I took this off of our dead mother.
At that moment, Tyrus's blood goes even colder. And he sees a gem that is, in a way, limitless. To stare into it is to see a blue galaxy hanging in a small orb, to see an extension. And he says, "How did you come by that?"
Well, if you'd like to know, I had to lean over and take it off of the bloody dismembered neck of our poor mother. And you are correct. I may have had to marry and figure out ways to increase my standing, because thanks to you, pathetic infighting and inept political maneuvering reduced our once great dynasty to a laughingstock on Mutilist. Tyrus, do you realize those assets that you so carefully redirected to your control are unfortunately frozen? At this point in time, you and I are technically destitute.
We're simply having a liquidity crisis.
Oh, you could call it that. Tyrus, do you remember that rather irritating youth, your arch nemesis of adolescence, a rumpus de Gellos, who always proved inferior at finance, business, politics, and took advantage of your absence and our house, bereft of leadership, to create a trust, which was in court to disassemble our assets. You see, as you well know, because this is the very way that our father took Jaren's father's assets into our family, he has brought us to court declaring the VonDonners negatio ineptus. If the VonDonners cannot reestablish our business acumen in Mune society and justify our clan's seat on the Intergalactic Banking Commission board, our assets are forfeit and to be distributed to the remainder of the board.
Jins is gonna scan the room because I am completely lost about what these people are talking about at this point. This is over.
Well, hold on. It's about to come back into focus.
And Tyrus, you would know that this is exactly what your father had done with the Damask clan's assets years before when Jaren first came to live with you guys. It's a trickery, a legal loophole, where they are able to actually prove that a particular clan is so disorganized in the running of their assets that they are no longer fit to command them, and court order causes them to be redistributed to other prominent business people.
So the point being, I turn to Jensen, Bior, and say, patience and sensibility. So Couchatta, Cushy, apparently we have
I do hate it
common
when you call me
interests.
Jins is not laughing. Jins is just.
Oh
is
no!
Like
Out of character,
cool.
that's completely meant as a power maneuver and to try to piss her off. Couchatta, you don't think I would have prepared myself so poorly? You recall that Grandmummy did give me that mining planet, that little rock. And there are a few other assets which I have secreted away beyond the control. Mune are, shall we say, uniquely adept at hiding our assets. But what is it you want, my dear sister?
So for a moment, her posturing and this kind of like brinksmanship that she's been engaging with for you melts away, and she looks at you with a sincere and deadly serious look. And she merely says to you, Tyrus, without our family assets, all of my carefully planned marriages and social climbing would be for naught. There was a time in which you and I were all each other had in a ruthless world, an upbringing that is not fit for any child. I would like to think that we can perhaps find common ground again. Not only could you potentially make up to me for the shattering of our entire legacy, but perhaps you'd find some value in helping your sister, your blood. And I will make sure I help you in return. What is it you want, Tyrus? To abdicate your family responsibilities and gallivant around the galaxy, indulging in your fugue state? Do you want to give it all up and find yourself like Jaren did? If so, how then will this plan suit you? I will help fund your needs to do that. If not, however, then you need me as much as I need you before we both end up powerless and without wealth or influence. I propose the following. We form a temporary alliance. We help each other. We need to prove that the VonDonners still have command of their business assets. There is our closest family holding to this area of space in Cymirth, in the Josbro sector of the Outer Rim along the Salen Corridor and the Turelius trade route. It's a little something I kept off the books for spending money. Don't be mad, brother. If I didn't, you'd be destitute now. But it mined rare nodes of Frykite and Alentium. And there are also possibilities of expansion mining for crystals. If we can re-establish that mine, which unfortunately has been besieged by the Degelos mining concern, it's an important first in getting an injunction for the Negotio Ineptus proceedings on Munilist. It would also open the door to recover more centralized operations on Mygito, which are, unfortunately, far more distant at the moment and well entrenched in the hands of our VonDonner enemies. If you can help me regain control of this particular planet, and take it from the hands of your hated childhood nemesis, a rumpus, that nasty little creature, then Tyrus, it is yours, and you can do what you wish with it. And on top of it, I will give you a generous donation to fund whatever you feel you need to do with your life, however wasteful it might be. And instead, you can once again grant me the remainder of our estate, so that I don't have to live this way anymore. And instead of constantly perhaps trying to outmaneuver you and always act like she's one better than you, you see her actually look at you with a slight pleading look in her eyes, and part of you perhaps savors it for a moment, and the other part of you maybe pities her, actually. Your thoughts, brother?
I would like to do a influence power tree, control emotion belief.
I would
Okay.
like to sense motive on her. Because I got a bad, malicious kind of vibe from her initially from my vision.
Jensa, there is not discreetly a sense motive in this game system, but you could either use vigilance or perception to try and look for clues that might tip you to what she might externally be betraying.
I'll go with vigilance.
Watch the droid.
Okay, so I'd like for you to make a
I'm
hard
still
vigilance
watching
check.
the void, but I'm allowed to pay attention to the conversation.
Okay, influence.
Wait, I could boost that, right?
It is no, actually, in the case of this, you guys cannot conspire
Because
because
we can't
she's
talk.
noticing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's just noticing
Right.
something. It's going to be a hard vigilance check with one setback dice due to the unfamiliar surroundings that you find yourself in at the moment.
But I get a force negotiation check or no?
Well, you're going to make a separate check in just a moment.
Sorry.
Can I make one of these rolls?
Denied doesn't apply to this, does it?
I want
It would
Bio to
remove
do
a setback
something.
dice, yeah. So it would negate the
How
setback
do I
dice.
remove this setback? No. Start over.
So it basically then becomes just a hard vigilance check with no setback dice.
Heightened awareness from Bio doesn't boost that?
Is that vigilance or perception that it boosts?
It's perception.
Vigilance or perception, either one. He gets engaged allies 2 blue dice.
Or is it for vigilance as well?
Oh, damn, yeah, it is.
All right, so
Yeah.
Jensa, he's engaged with you. You get 2 boost dice. Damn, Bio, that's a pretty
Yeah.
awesome talent.
I love Bio.
Okay,
I fail.
unfortunately, you do not notice anything telling from her external demeanor. At the moment, really, all you're struck by is how fucking weird all this seems to you. And you're really stifling the uncontrollable desire to run away from this situation. But you are able to regain your composure and carry yourself with dignity, even though she moments before almost referred to you as Tyrus's little trollop. But Tyrus, why don't you make your
My successes, I'm keeping my. I'm
Yeah,
a
you can
fancy
keep your
person and I belong
advantages
here
for
demeanor.
boost dice.
Can Jensa invoke a separate sense advantage of the future at this point?
This would probably be a difficult scenario for her to just zone out in. I mean, she could, but I don't imagine she would want to do that here.
Okay.
But you can make
Having
your...
a planet to hide Jedi in would be great, but not.
But-
I don't from this chick.
Can Bior have any sense of the status of my sister in terms of her damage level or health?
in terms of her physical well-being?
Is she an NPC? Does she have a completely normal? Is she like healthy as healthy
You'd
can?
have to ask him. I
mean, you want me to do like
you
an
guys...
assessment really quick?
he can't read
Well,
your
I
mind
don't
in
know
this
if
in
it's
a
moment,
situation
so...
where you can ask.
No,
him.
I don't know if NPCs show up as their own parameters without having to ask, or do you have to actually...
Well, the way I would describe it is you are in a social encounter that is active in the moment, so you guys, unless you break your conversation to ask him...
We can't conspire. I mean, you can look over at Bior sitting in front of her and say, hey, could you check her out physically? It's going to be socially awkward.
She's
like,
not showing up as an avatar with a certain number of health scores.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he could independently assess her physical health without much difficulty, but the point is he's not going to know you want him to do that in this moment without you asking
Can I turn over my shoulder and say without her hearing that I'd like him to check out what her health status is, because that's a concern of mine?
Okay, then average skullduggery check to see if you can say that without her hearing. I'll give you a boost dice if you want because of the... well, roll one boost dice because you're in a crowded, noisy environment. Okay, so you fail with 2 advantage. So basically, you murmur over your shoulder, attempting to be quiet to Bior, essentially asking him how healthy does she look to you. And she says, Tyrus, I assure you, I am the picture of health. I don't imagine why you need to know that at this moment. Are you going to try and make my head explode as well? Is there nothing that you will not do to get on top of every situation?
I look back at Bior and I look at Jensen and say, do you prefer oysters or clams, my sister?
I don't follow, brother.
It's a quote. And so, negotiation.
What are you negotiating?
Well, sister, your exclusion from immune society was, shall we say, mitigated by your happy marriages to various titled families from everywhere from Hutt to, I don't know, Crumpington.
Yes, and Sir Crumpington met an unfortunate fate, and I had nothing to do with it.
I hear they found an oar in his throat. Is that correct?
Looking vapid, I'm so sorry you lost your husband.
Oh, thank you, dear. So nice of you.
So, Cushy, let's get down to titanium tax. I notice you're wearing a rather spectacular jewel around your neck. I seem to recall it. Perhaps as your small lagresse to me, you could let me have that one memory of Mummy.
We can discuss it, Tyrus. I'm keeping the Alderaanian crown jewels, of course. They're a family heirloom, and frankly, one of the fine pieces of assets that still are worth anything in our clan. But, and she stands up for a moment and steps behind the chair and pushes the chair in, and the droid stands next to her, and she looks at you in the eyes and says, I'll give you 3 nights to decide. If you consent, meet me back here then. My price? You and your friends help recover our family holdings on Cymirth. Your reward? They are yours. You have an earning business that belongs to you and your colleagues. It will sustain you, and whatever, I don't know, finding yourself that you need to do. But the remainder of the Tyrus clan, the VonDonner clan, you will help me restore and then transfer to me. We can discuss the financial amount of your payment. Aside from that. As for the jewel, we can discuss that as well. It means nothing to me.
I'd like to have a coercion check, please.
Okay, what are you trying to coerce?
That she is unreasonable, that my holdings are actually higher than hers, that before my parents' untimely explosion, I locked every asset in my name. She really has no negotiating power at all.
You can make that check. She has nobody's 2 ranks and nobody's fool, so the difficulty is going to be 1 purple and 2 red.
I get a force power influence check.
Yes, you can actually roll your influence with it. And you roll 2 successes, actually, and 2 advantage. And your message to her, basically, is to intimidate her into conceding to you perhaps better terms, because you are arguing she has not a leg to stand on.
And I will use that dark-sided point.
Oh, so you're driving it home hardcore. Okay, so well, you can't use the dark side point because you guys are out of destiny points.
Oops,
so, she nods to you and says, "I'll admit, I am up against the ropes, so to speak, but so are you. Because if you think you're going to recover any of your assets without fixing this little negotio ineptus problem, you have another thing coming. I will be more than generous with the price, and owning your own mine will be a constant revenue stream for your little friends in addition. If you do not work with me on this, I will find someone else to hire to accomplish it, and you will lose the mine and your assets as well."
I have 1 more card to play.
But she has conceded to you that she will more favorably compensate you on the back end if you agree.
But I do have a force power that can be played as a maneuver.
Enlighten me.
Control emotion belief, but I have an extra power under one of the force trees where I can play a force power as a maneuver.
Is that one of your talents?
Oh, yes.
Which one is that?
Un momento.
The force is my ally, right?
I think so, yes.
Okay, and what force power will you be using as a maneuver?
I will be using control emotion belief.
You just used that on her a moment ago, though.
Oops.
In this same turn, essentially.
Okay, same turn. But that's not a maneuver and an action. That's 2 different things.
Yeah, so essentially you just did a force influence control thing for your action, and you're using it as a maneuver as well. Although in the moment we're not really in sort of like structured time, like combat time. So
okay,
you don't need to worry about maneuvers or actions. But she's conceded to you a willingness to be generous with the pricing. However, she points out to you that you are equally backed into a corner as she is, for without cooperation, you two have nothing. She nods to you and says, 3 days, brother. I will leave Nar Shadaa. If I don't hear from you by then, well, I'll assume the answer is no. And I will pawn this jewel around my neck, and perhaps these crown jewels as well, to pay for a mercenary force to do it for me. Good day. And she says, "Oh, and Tyrus, don't worry about Daddy's debt. I've taken care of it. You can enjoy the casino as my guest." And she walks off with
it was nice meeting
1140.
you.
And she doesn't turn around, Agensa, but she just picks up her right hand and waves it as she faces forward and walks off into the evening and goes up one of the lifts to the Most likely to one of the penthouses.
I'm gonna look at Tyrus and I'm gonna say, I fully support whatever you decide here. But I wouldn't trust her too far. We still need a backer by 10 a.m. in the morning.
So on an eyeball assessment, how did she look to me? Did she look healthy?
She looks totally healthy to you. You
wouldn't
don't pick up
bank
any
on
sign
that,
of illness or anything like that.
And yet, that would be something I would keep an eye on.
And as you are standing in the casino, being 11 o'clock, I think this might be a good place for us to call it for tonight. After seeing the depth of the VonDonner family dysfunction, we will call it for the moment. And next time we're going to pick up with... we need to resolve a couple things at the beginning of next session. First of all, Ishwar, you're going to have to make your infiltration. Enough time has passed that L3 will be able to join you on that mission if you like.
Yes.
Number 2, Bayor, you have someone to find in the casino. You'll be able to pick up with that at the beginning of next session. And then you guys can figure out how you're going to solve the funding problem for tomorrow's proceedings.
I was going to say, we watched a Wookiee walk out with enough weaponry to level a small fortress, yet we skipped to the scene where Jens is in the bath.
With her foot in the toilet.
There are multiple layers. It's layers.
Yeah. It's suspense.
Nobody shot me for several hours. I can't say Jensen went a day without getting shot at, but you know.
I must say, you do not know the meaning of letting your foot off the throttle. It's been like pure unleaded awesome since.
No, like
All right.
literally the first session. We have slept like maybe 4 or 5. I mean, there's been some hyperspace travel, but we.
Why do you think I keep offering you
haven't had any
spice so
lengthy
often? It's basically meth to keep you guys going.
It's like, oh, maybe we can get into the city, take it easy. Nope, kidnapping, grenades being launched.
As soon as this freaking this
Maybe
little
a show,
planet
maybe
issue on Nar Shadaa is wrapped up, Jensen absolutely plans to like get us somewhere where we at least have a couple weeks of travel because she needs a break.
And that brings our episode tonight to a close. We have a few exciting episodes coming up for you in short order. I'm going to get those edited for you just as quickly as possible. We have Leto and Ishwar on an adventure to recover a famous Wookiee revolutionary. We have Bayor and Jensa hitting the Del Kyno Grande once again to meet a prominent mobster and see if they can get support for joining the Great Hunt. Join us next time and we'll pick up on some of these threads. Hope everyone is healthy and safe and has a great week.